The following section discusses the back office menu, including the city ledger and travel agents, housekeeping, and includes an overview of reports. We'll start with the back office menu. The current snapshot gives an overview of the current status of the property from both a rooms and revenue perspective. The current room status area gives the total number of rooms and the total unavailable. The total to sell is the number of rooms available for sale, or the total rooms minus the unavailable rooms. Total occupied is how many rooms are currently occupied, and total unoccupied is how many rooms are currently empty. Remaining departures are how many checkouts are left for the current audit date, and remaining check-ins are the number of currently expected arrivals. Available for walk-ins is the number of rooms currently not occupied or needed for today's arrivals. If the day were to close at this time, these rooms would go unsold. Projected filled is the currently expected number of occupied rooms. Total dirty is the number of dirty rooms. Use this number to track how many rooms are left to be cleaned. The remaining check-ins tells you how many guaranteed and non-guaranteed reservations are left for the day, along with the number of rooms not picked up by a group and the number of share rooms left to arrive. The graph displays the number of unoccupied vacant rooms, occupied rooms, and unavailable rooms. In the statistics section, the current ADR is the current average daily rate for currently occupied rooms only. The reservations due in on the current audit date are not included in this number. The projected ADR is the average daily rate including reservations due in for the current audit date. The projected revenue is the total amount of room revenue, taxable and non-taxable, for the currently occupied rooms and reservations due in. Yesterday's ADR is the average daily rate from the previous audit date. To clarify, average daily rate is the total amount of room revenue posted, including any voids and adjustments, divided by the total number of rooms sold. Current adults and children is the current number of adults and children in occupied rooms. Current occupancy is the number of occupied rooms divided by the number of available rooms. Unavailable rooms can be included in this equation by going to Setup, Configuration, Guest Ledger, Day and Close options, and unchecking the Ignore Unavailable Rooms in Occupancy Percentage. Whether you decide to include or exclude unavailable rooms, it is recommended to be consistent with your choice. Otherwise, forecasting for future occupancy can be difficult if the history reporting is not all the same. Projected occupancy is the expected occupancy when all checkouts have departed and all check-ins have arrived. Yesterday's occupancy is the final occupancy percentage for the previous day. Checkouts today is the number of rooms, not guests, left to check out. Share withs in the same room would be considered 1. Checkouts tomorrow is the number of rooms currently anticipated to depart on the next audit date. The check-in activity breaks down the number of check-ins by hour. With Auditor Access or above, click Other Days to display information from previous audit dates. The default is for the previous audit date. Enter or use the arrows to go to the day you want to review. This information is the same as what is on the Day and Close report. The posted room sales is the number of times room taxable and room non-taxable were posted for the audit date, not the number of rooms. For example, with a share width, room and tax is posted twice, once for each share width, but there is only one occupied room. It is broken down between taxable and non-taxable revenue and adjustments. The average sale is the first column. That is the total revenue after adjustments divided by the posted room sales. The ADR is the total revenue after adjustments divided by the number of occupied rooms. The daily summary shows the number of occupied rooms, final occupancy percentage, number of check-ins, and total number of adults and children in-house for the specified date. The final ledger balances for the specified audit date are shown in ledger balances. Occupancy comparison gives a visual of the current occupancy of the property along with allowing you to compare it to future and past levels. To configure how you want the occupancy comparison to be displayed, click on Options. The color options allow you to set the color to be displayed when different occupancy thresholds are achieved. Notice red is 100% or greater. For larger properties that overbook, this is a good way to see your challenge dates at a glance. Set your lower threshold occupancy at a level where you would consider making some rate changes to increase occupancy. In the future occupancy options, checking the box for Include Unavailable Rooms will consider unavailable rooms as available in the occupancy percentage. Include Unbooked Group Rooms will add in all group rooms that do not have reservations as of this time, as if they had been picked up. In the Initial Display section, you can choose which 2 months should appear when occupancy comparison is first opened. To change the month displayed, click the single arrow to move the month forward or back. Clicking the double arrows will change the display by a year. Again, this gives you a great visual of your occupancy for the near or distant future, and allows you to compare it with past history. The city ledger is where balances for unregistered guests are maintained. It is the hospitality term for accounts receivable. This is most often for companies that the property has an agreement with, that they will be invoiced for stays rather than paying at checkout. It can also be used for larger groups that have established credit with the property. City ledger accounts for credit cards can also be set up to track the anticipated payment from the credit card company. In the following section, configuring and using the city ledger in RoomMaster 2000 will be reviewed, using company direct bills as the examples. The configuration includes choosing global settings and defaults for the city ledger, then creating the company master account RoomMaster 2000 can bill to. To configure default settings for your city ledger, click BackOffice, City Ledger, Company Master, or press F9. The City Ledger menu will appear. Click on City Ledger Setup. 4 tabs appear in the window. The Aging Defaults is where you designate the aging buckets for your property in number of days. The defaults are as shown and are standard for the hospitality industry. The fields to the right of the buckets are the bucket description fields that appear on City Ledger statements and on the company masters. It is best to just leave the aging buckets and descriptions as the defaults. The statement messages are what appear on the bottom of the company invoice when it is printed. These are free-form fields to enter whatever you want. The defaults send an increasingly stronger message to encourage payment on the invoice, depending on the number of days the bill has been open. The second tab is the Customer Defaults. These are the defaults that will be used for new companies entered in RoomMaster 2000. So these settings should be the terms for the majority of your companies. Discount days is the number of days the company has to pay an invoice to receive a discount. The net days due is when the bill is due without incurring any finance charges. Discount grace days is the number of grace days the property extends the discount period. This is to allow for mailing, holidays, etc. Net grace days is the same, except these grace days are for when the bill is due. Discount percent is the percentage off the invoice the company receives for paying the bill within the discount period. Checking combine invoices daily will combine multiple invoices for a company into one total invoice per day. This is most often used for credit card city ledger accounts to make it faster to reconcile. In the late payment information section, enter the finance charge percentage in the late payment percent field. This is the amount you will charge the company for not being prompt with their payment. Minimum late payment is the minimum amount you will charge for a late payment. When set, this amount will be used if the amount of the late payment percentage is lower than the minimum late payment. Late payment cycle is how often finance charges should be applied to an invoice. There are two options for assessing finance charges. Using the net plus grace means the finance charge will be applied the first day after the net days due plus the net grace days has passed. If your net days are 30 and net grace days are 5, then the finance charge would be posted on the 36th day after the invoice was sent, and then every number of days set up in late payment cycle until payment is received and posted in Roommaster 2000. With finance charges at first of month, Roommaster 2000 will post finance charges on the first of the month following the month the invoice is due. For example, any invoices created during February would be due March 31st. Finance charges would be posted for any unpaid invoices on April 1st, May 1st, etc. until the invoice is paid. Use this option if you send out all your statements at the beginning of each month. Select Never Assess Finance Charges to not automatically post charges for past due invoices. Now let's put together an example. The regular terms for the sample hotel are 2% 15 days, net 30. The grace period offered is 5 days for both the discount and the net periods. They want to keep all the invoices separate, so combined invoices is not checked. The finance charge is 4%, the minimum late payment is $10, and finance charges are applied every 30 days. The property assesses using the net plus grace option. With this configuration, any payments received within 20 days of the billing date would receive the discount, since the grace days is 5. And no finance charges would be applied until the account was 35 days overdue. Also, if a company had a $100 outstanding invoice 40 days old, on their next statement the minimum finance charge would be $10 because it is greater than the late payment percentage. Any of these settings can be set to 0 to turn them off. However, if an entry is made for discount days, a discount percent must be entered also. Remember, these are the default settings used when creating a new company. Each company can be individually configured. The statement defaults configure settings on the printed invoices. The statement print order can either be in customer order alphabetically or account number order. For whatever amount is entered in print minimum amount, Roommaster 2000 will not print an invoice that is less than that amount. So, if $200 is entered in print minimum amount, any invoices that total $199.99 will not be printed. If your property has specific paper for invoices that might contain the logo or a picture, check the box for pre-printed statements. Checking the box for print credit statements tells Roommaster 2000 to print invoices for companies that have a credit balance. In other words, the property owes the company money. Checking the box for Show Discount Information instead of Reference field replaces whatever was written in the reference field on the guest folio with the discount information for the company. Hide existing credits from statements will not include any existing credits for the company on account statements. Use this to encourage full payment of all invoices due. The statement message is a free-form field for you to include any messages about the property, or a holiday or seasonal greeting. In the Other tab, You can check the box to disable the Auto Pay function in Payments and Adjustments. Using Auto Paid is reviewed in just a few moments. Click OK to save all these settings. One other global setting is to configure the City Ledger to re-age each night with the day and close. Re-age means another day is added to each open invoice, determining whether the discount still applies and which aging bucket the invoice should be placed in. This is set in Setup, Configuration, Guest Ledger. Day and Close options, Re-age City Ledger. Make sure the box is checked to re-age nightly. If at some point you decide to change the settings of the aging bucket to update the buckets manually, click on Re-age City Ledger. This will review the new settings and place the invoices in the correct aging bucket. The defaults are set, so now it is time to enter our companies. Company masters can either be just a company you do business with or one you have allowed to have credit and bill on a regular basis. I will do a sample explaining the different entries as we move through the screens. To start, click on Company Masters in the City Ledger menu. The three different tabs display the companies either by name, by account number, or only direct bill companies by name. Check the box at the bottom of the screen to hide any inactive accounts. The standard Insert, Change, and Delete buttons on the screen allow you to enter, modify, or remove an account. Click Insert. The Company Master window appears. As mentioned, a company can either be a company master or a direct bill company. If the company is allowed to direct bill, check Direct Bill Account. Notice the number of tabs went from 4 to 8. For companies where you do business with but do not allow to direct bill, leave this unchecked and complete the information in the 4 tabs. For our example, I'll do a direct bill account, reviewing all the tabs in detail. The General tab appears by default. Enter the company name and address in Company Information. In Special Information, enter a contact and tax ID if you have one. The Reference field is a free-form field you can use for any internal information you want to include. The Class field is a feature to assist you in organizing the different types of companies in Roommaster 2000. Click on the magnifying glass and the account classes list appears. To enter a new class, click Insert and enter a 4-digit code and description. I am entering a company who will be sending the property business, so I will enter a class called Company Contracts. The property also hosts many holiday parties and special events throughout the year that are direct billed to the sponsors. For them, there is another class set up. There is also a members class. This is for members of the health spa who use the facility but do not stay on property. Once the class is established, highlight it and click Select to complete the class field. The Billing Address tab is only on direct bill accounts. Enter information here if the billing address is different than the company address. For example, if the local office of a company is booking the rooms, but the invoices need to go to the National Accounting Office to get paid, enter the address for National to send them the invoice. On the Details tab, you can set a specific rate for any reservation connected with the company. This is for both company and direct bill accounts. Default rate will use a default rate code set up in Configuration, Reservations. Override rate will use the rate amount entries in Override Weekday and Override Weekend when selected. Make sure to enter amounts for both. This allows you to negotiate and customize rates for all the companies you do business with. If you want to simplify things, set up tiers of business rate codes. Say you have one company that agrees to send you 200 room nights a year, one that will send you 500 room nights, and one that will send you 1,000. The more room nights agreed to, the lower the rate. For the 200 room night company, Set rate code Business 1 to $150 per night. Make Business 2 rate code $130, and then Business 3 rate code $100 for the 1,000-night company. Using a rate code also allows you to establish different rates for different room types, so a direct bill account is not staying in the penthouse for $100. Once the rate codes are established, select Rate Type and enter the rate code in the Rate Type field. For my example, I will enter a Business 2 rate code for the company. Enter the main contact email address and company website information. The opt-out feature allows you to remove the company from your mailing and emailing lists for letters generated from the letter editor or letter scheduler. Both of these will be reviewed later in this section. Use the drop-down box to select whether the company would prefer not to receive mailings, emails, or both. This setting does not affect sending account statements. The payment information screen is where you can set the terms for the direct bill accounts. Establish a credit limit per the credit check performed and enter it in credit limit. This is a warning amount. Enter the additional amount that would force you to not allow any more credit to this company in the additional tolerance field. In my example, the absolute ceiling is $100,000, so I set the credit limit at $90,000 and an additional tolerance at $10,000. Notice the rest of the fields are defaulted to what was established under City Ledger Setup, including Assess Finance Charges and Combined Daily Charges under Account Options. Print Account Statement always defaults as checked. Unchecked, no statement would print for the company. When Account on Credit Hold is checked, a freeze has been put on the company direct bill account and no new invoices can be transferred to the account. Also, a warning message appears for a guest checking in with an account on credit hold. The Payment History button displays a screen listing all the payments made by the company. The Credit Information tab displays the current status of direct bill accounts, breaking down the amounts due by aging buckets and a total amount due. This is a view-only screen. The amount of available credit along with the amount of existing credits is shown. Existing credits occur when a payment is posted that is more than the amount of invoices open for the company. In other words, the company sent you more money than they owed. This will be reviewed later in detail. The Invoice Summary section gives a summary of invoice information, including the last sale, last payment date, highest balance on the account, and the date. Having the year-to-date sales total and last year's year-to-date allows you to do a quick comparison. Premier Edition users can use the Display as Chart option to see the data in chart or graph form. Invoices are folios that have been transferred into the City Ledger. Check the box to only view open invoices, invoices that have not been paid yet. Since this is a new account, no invoices have been transferred. If you are changing from another property management system to Roommaster 2000, you may have old invoices from the previous system to be input into Roommaster 2000. This can be done as a lump sum total for all the invoices, or each individual invoice can be entered, which is recommended for accuracy. Click on Add Invoice and select account code 999, Previous Balance Debit. This account code is only for entering debit balances from old systems into Roommaster 2000. Enter the lump sum open balance or enter the individual invoice amount and a voucher. For individual invoices, enter the guest name and invoice number from the previous system in the voucher field. Enter the invoice date information and click OK. The Sales tab gives a breakdown of revenue generated by the company for the property by sales center and by month. Click Print Sales Recap for a printout of the information. To only view a certain month, highlight it and select Expand. The Notes tab is a freeform field to document any important information regarding the company. Similar to confirmation letters, city ledger letters can be created to be sent to companies. Creating these letters is reviewed later in the section. To mail a letter, print an envelope first by clicking Envelope. Include the return address and verify the envelope size. Use the Envelope Layout tab for custom envelopes and to position the delivery address. Click Print to finish. Click on Print Letter and select the letter to print. Do the same to fax or email a letter. The fax server is configured in File, Print Setup, Fax Printer. Click the button and select the fax server. Emails are configured in Setup, Configuration, System, Internet Settings. Folio History displays all the folios associated with a company by name. An established company is being shown as an example. Click Expand to view the folio. Postings can be made from this location by bringing the folio back into the guest ledger. The Move All option allows you to move all the folios from one company to another company. The Print Statement button brings up the City Ledger account statement screen, with the selected company defaulted as the higher and lower company. The details of this screen are reviewed later. Click OK to print a statement. So the defaults for City Ledger and a company have been established. Now let's go through the direct bill process from making a reservation to posting the payment received from the company. In making a reservation as a direct bill, use the same procedures as a regular reservation, except on the Other Information tab, where an entry will be made for a direct bill. Click on the magnifying glass and select the direct bill company. Only direct bill companies are displayed, not company masters. Since the company has a special rate, Roommaster 2000 prompts if you want to use it. If not, the default rate or any rate you choose will be used. Click Yes. Notice when we select the direct bill account, it is copied over into the company field. If a company is selected, it is not copied into the direct bill field. Also, you can use a direct bill hold type to guarantee the reservation. Complete the reservation as normal. For our example, I'll go ahead and check it in, and again the process is exactly the same. Our sample reservation was a one-night stay, and I have run the day and close and am ready to check the guest out. Notice in the folio the company name for the direct bill appears. Also make note of the folio number. The procedure is the same as a regular checkout, except when you click on Checkout, the account code is filled with 210, City Ledger. The amount autofills and the company name appears. The guest's name is entered in the voucher field. This makes it easier to see in the City Ledger section. A quick note about account codes 210 City Ledger and 211 City Ledger Adjustment. These are the two default account codes to move amounts between the guest ledger and the City Ledger. Although they seem like payment and refund accounts, they are actually transfer accounts. Remember that any time you post using 210 or 211, whatever happens in the guest ledger will have an equal but opposite effect in the City Ledger. So when I click OK to check the guest out, a credit is posted to the folio, creating a zero balance. During the day and close, the amount is transferred to direct bill as an invoice, posting a debit into the City Ledger. Let's see what the folio looks like as an invoice in the City Ledger. Open the City Ledger menu, then Company Master, then select the company. Click on the Invoices tab, and then highlight the folio. Click on Expand Invoice, and the invoice display window appears. On the General tab, it gives the invoice type. Folio means the invoice was a folio. If an invoice is added in the City Ledger, it will say Added. The invoice number is given. Notice it is the same as the folio number from the guest ledger. The guest name is included from the voucher field. This field can be edited. In the invoice summary section, the original amount appears, along with the current discount amount, giving a current total due. If there is not supposed to be a discount, click the Remove Discount button and the discount is removed. To manually post finance charges, click the Finance Charges button. You can enter the amount of finance charges to post and a description in the voucher. You can also edit the finance charge date. This would be used when you usually do not charge finance charges, but have a situation where a company may need to be motivated to settle their account. The Transaction tab shows the listing of transactions that have occurred to this invoice. The Payment Write-Offs tab shows any payments or write-offs affecting this invoice. In the Adjustments tab, changes can be made to the balance of the folio, if the guest was charged too much or too little. It is not recommended to make such adjustments in the City Ledger. It is better to make them in the folio, and that will be reviewed shortly. And the Notes tab is the Notes tab to document any issues. Reprint Folio will print a copy of the folio. Print Memo prints a memo form of the invoice. It is the invoice information, but not in as much detail as a folio. The folio already printed with Statement checkbox will be checked if the folio is printed when the statement was printed. If the company has a question about an invoice, check it as disputed while the research is being completed. This prevents finance charges from being posted. Let's say the company does contact you and say the guest had problems with their stay, and you agree to take $50 off room and tax as a goodwill gesture. Let's do this through the Payments and Adjustments section of the City Ledger menu. Click Payments and Adjustments and take the Adjustments option. Click Next. All direct bill accounts will display. Check the List only those with current balance to narrow down your choices. Highlight the company the invoice is attached to and click Next. Note, this is one of the few places in Roommaster 2000 where double-clicking on a highlighted item does not select it. You have to hit Next. Highlight the invoice and click Next. As mentioned earlier, you can do adjustments in the City Ledger, but it is not recommended because it leaves a poor audit trail if there is a question about the invoice a year from now. It is highly recommended to do any adjustments on the folio. Click on the top Go There Now and the guest folio appears. Notice in the Void column for the City Ledger transaction it says Post. This designates that the transaction has gone to the City Ledger. When I first posted the transaction, it was only in the guest ledger. To take $50 of room and tax off the account, first click Insert. A prompt will appear saying the folio will be brought back into the guest ledger. That is fine. A common thought is the guest needs to be checked back into a real room. Do not do that. It will throw off availability and forecasting reports. Just bring them back into the guest ledger and they will have the same status of a guest who just checked out that day. Use account code 171, Room Adjustment Credit. This will take the taxes off also. Post the credit as shown. Now there is a credit balance on the account. It needs to be 0 for the folio to return to history, and this adjustment was only completed in the guest ledger. To take care of each of these items, I'll post a 211 City Ledger adjustment for the same amount that is on the folio. Only this will be a debit. This brings the folio to a 0 balance, and eventually will post a credit to the invoice in the City Ledger, either with the day and close or manually. Click Close, then Finish to complete the transaction. Let's say the company wants to take advantage of the discount and wants a statement today with the adjusted amount, but you cannot run the day and close in the middle of the day. To manually post the City Ledger charges, click Post Today's Items in the City Ledger menu. It will appear as if nothing has happened, but on the folio, Post Now appears next to the 211 transaction, and the adjusted amount shows as the new open balance. To print the statement for this company, open the Company Master and click Print Statement. The report range is set automatically to just that company. Print the statement and forward it on to the company. Let's take a moment and review how to print account statements to be sent out. From the Company Master screen, click on City Ledger Reports. The first report listed is City Ledger Account Statements. Click on it and the prompt window appears. The report range is which companies you want to print statements for. Use the drop-down box to see the companies in alphabetical order. To print all, select the first company in the lower company field, and the last in the higher company field. To print the statement for only one company, have the same company in the lower and higher fields, as shown before. Another option is to print only companies in a certain class. Click the magnifying glass and select the class. Checking the Show Terms on Statements will display any terms in the company statement. If terms are set to 0, they do not print. The Display Guest detail for combined daily invoices will list the guests included in the daily invoice. The Previous Balance section allows you to print a statement that only includes invoices from a certain time frame forward. So if you send out invoices monthly and do not want to include invoices from the previous month, enter the date you sent the last invoice here. The last function allows you to print the guest folio as backup to send to the company. Check only folios which have not been included here previously to only print previously unprinted folios. If a folio has been included, the folio already printed with statement checkbox is checked on the invoice. Checking Print as City Ledger Invoice looks exactly like a folio, except the 210 City Ledger posting is not included, presenting the folio with a balance due rather than a 0 balance. Now that the company has the statement, let's review what to do when they send you a payment. Let's say the company has sent you a check for this invoice and some other ones that have been added. To post the payment, go to the City Ledger menu and select Payments and Adjustments. This time select Payment and click Next. Again choose the company and click Next. On this screen, enter the account code for the form of payment received. In our example, it is a check. But if the company sends you a credit card number, enter the appropriate credit card account code. Enter the amount to be posted. The company sent the discounted amount from the invoice they received. With a check, it is recommended to enter the check number in the voucher. Click Next. In this screen, you can enter any discounts, short pays, or commission amounts. This will be reviewed a little later. For our example, we want to verify the account code the discount amount is going to be posted to. The amount is already determined in Roommaster 2000, and the default account code is $4.99, City Ledger Terms Discount. Click Next. To pay the invoice, highlight it and click Pay Invoice. The Pay Invoice will pay the entire amount of the invoice, making the balance 0. If the incorrect invoice is selected, click Clear Invoice to unpay it. Notice the Finish button is grayed out. The Finish button will not highlight until the entire payment is used. Click Finish and the City Ledger menu appears. To see our posting, click on Journal. Note the check amount is posted and the discount is automatically posted. At this point, let's review some of the other payment scenarios. First, let's say that the company sends a check for $100 over the amount of the invoice. Again, enter the actual amount of the check, then the check number. Then click Next. Again, the City Ledger Terms defaults to account code 499. Click Next. On the Post Payment screen, let's pay the invoice we know the check is for by clicking Pay Invoice as before. Notice now in unapplied amount there is $100. In other words, there is $100 received that needs to be accounted for, and we cannot click Finish because it is still grayed out. One option is to do a partial payment to another open invoice. To do that, highlight the invoice and click Edit Partial. The partial payment window appears with the top field being the amount to apply. Enter the $100 and click OK. Notice the balance from the open amount has reduced by the $100, and now we can click Finish. The other option is to give the company an existing credit, kind of like an advance deposit. Instead of using Edit Partial, this time check Post Unapplied Amount to Account as Credit. This tells Roommaster 2000 whatever is left over, just hold on to it to be used in the future. Now the Finish button is available, and the transaction can be completed. If you are unsure of what to do, click Postpone. This saves your work, especially in dealing with many invoices, and you can come back to it later. To return to the postponed transaction, go to Payments and Adjustments and re-enter the amount originally to be posted and continue through the screens. It is important to enter the exact same amount to be posted as when the transaction was postponed, or your payments will be off. Roommaster 2000 does not save the amount to be posted. Again, the options are to partial pay or post the difference as an existing credit. Let's say we posted the amount as an existing credit, and then the company sent us another check to pay the other invoices, minus the $100. To post the check and use the existing credit, again go to Payments and Adjustments, and get to the Payment Amount screen. When a company has an existing credit, a box appears asking if you want to apply the existing credit with this payment or not. In the example, I'll check Yes. And notice the total batch is the amount of the check plus the existing credit. Pay the appropriate invoice and click Finish. One more scenario is when you receive a check from the company that does not designate which invoices it is intended for. It is just an amount. You can use the Auto Pay feature, and Roommaster 2000 will pay off as many of the invoices it can with the amount entered, starting from the oldest to the most recent. Usually there is an amount left over, which can again be partially applied or saved as an existing credit. The Auto Pay button can be disabled from the other tab of City Ledger Setup and will not be highlighted on this screen. You will need to manually select the invoices to pay if Auto Pay is not available. Finally, what if you get a check from a company before they even have any invoices? Like a new company that you require an advance deposit before you will issue credit to them. To post this, go to Payments and Adjustments, select the company, and enter the check amount. On the Post Payment screen, just check the Post Unapplied Amount box. This will create the existing credit to be used for future stays. To pay invoices just using an existing credit, make the payment amount 0, and the existing credit amount will appear as the total batch. But what if the company wants you to refund them the existing credit? This is done by creating an invoice to pay using the existing credit, and is the only other time besides just starting with Roommaster 2000 that an invoice should be created in the company master. Start by going to the company with the existing credit to be refunded, and go to the Invoices tab. Click on Add Invoice, and for the account code, enter how the money is going to be refunded. If it is a credit card, enter the card refund account code. Usually, a check is written by accounting, so account code 600, refund due by accounting, is used. Enter the amount to be refunded and information in the voucher. The rest of the screen can be left alone since we are going to pay the invoice in a moment. Click OK. So now there is an open invoice, a debit balance, for the same amount as the existing credit. Now, go to Payments and Adjustments. Leave the amount at 0 and pay the invoice with the existing credit. In the company, go to the invoice created to do the refund and expand it. And on the Adjustments tab, you will see the refund posting. And on the Payments Write-Offs tab is the existing credit paying it off. Let's go back and review the Discounts, Short Pays, and Commissions section. On this screen is where you would enter any of those items. An example would be for something like Expedia, where they owe you $1,000 but have a 10% commission, so only send you a check for $900. You still have to pay off $1,000 worth of invoices. So enter the check amount as $900. And then for account code 1, you could select a commissions amount and enter the $100. When you proceed to the Post Payment screen, the total batch is the check amount plus the commission held back, in this case $1,000. Then pay the invoices as detailed previously. Regarding City Ledger payments with credit cards and the credit card interface, the process is the same, but after clicking Finish, the credit card interface screen will appear. Process the transactions as if you were posting from a folio. Once a payment has been made to a company, it is listed in the payment journal in the City Ledger menu. This is every payment ever posted to the City Ledger for your Roommaster 2000. To see the most recent payments, click Most Recent, and Roommaster 2000 will go to the last posting entry. The date and time, the company, the voucher information, the amount and user initials are displayed. The Items column displays the number of invoices paid with the posting. If 0 is in the Items column, an existing credit was created. To see details on the payment, highlight it and click Expand, or just double-click on the payment. On the General tab, the basic information of the transaction is displayed, including if there were any discounts applied. On the Detail tab, the invoices paid are listed. They too can be expanded, and the invoice display screen appears. Besides viewing the details of the payment, this is where the payment can be voided. When a payment is voided, all the invoices that were closed return to an open status. Also, keep in mind the payment posting is reversed. If the void is done on a day after the original posting, the payment account code for that day will be off. For example, a company paid with a check that was from an old account that has been closed, so the check is no good. To resolve the situation, they gave you a credit card to apply to the same invoices. To undo the original payment in the payment journal, expand the payment and then click on Void Batch. A prompt will appear confirming this is what you want to do, and that all paid invoices will now be unpaid. Click Yes. Enter a reason for the voucher. When complete, a message box appears advising that everything has been undone. Click OK. Go back into Payments and Adjustments, Payments, choose the company, enter the appropriate credit card account code, amount, and a voucher entry. Proceed through as if posting the item for the first time. Complete the credit card interface screen if you have it. Just remember, since the check was posted on a prior day, you will be over today since the void creates a debit, cash, or check posting for today. This is fine because basically you posted cash you did not have with the original posting, since you never really got the money, and this entry undoes the shortage from the previous day. In the Payments and Adjustment wizards, we have reviewed how to do payments and adjustments. The other options are write-offs, transfers, and move credits. Write-offs are for accounts you have decided you are not going to collect and need to remove from the books. Completing a write-off is similar to making a payment, except instead of using a payment account code, you use a write-off account code. Select write-off, then the company. The default account code in Roommaster 2000 is 496 City Ledger Write-Off. Like before, all the open invoices appear, and the options are Write-Off, Clear Write-Off, and Edit Partial. Each button works the same as paying the invoice. Click Finish when complete. Taking the transfer option allows you to transfer open invoices between companies. Click Next and select the company where the invoice currently is, and then click Next. All the open invoices will appear. Select one invoice. Only one can be moved at a time, and click Next. Select the company to move the invoice to. A prompt window will appear to confirm the transfer of the invoice. Click Yes. Then, click OK when the transfer is confirmed. You can confirm the transfer was completed by checking the Invoice tab in the company the invoice was moved to. Move Credit is similar to Transfer, except it moves an existing credit rather than an invoice. Select Move Credit and Next. Then choose the company to move the credit from. Click Next. The screen looks very similar, but at the top it is asking you where to move the credit to. Select the receiving company and click Next. Again, a confirmation window appears to review the transaction. Click Finish if it is correct. Click OK to exit the process. The last button to review on the City Ledger menu is Customer Invoices. Clicking this will display all the invoices in Roommaster 2000. To only show the open ones, check the Only Open Invoice box. Double-clicking the invoice or choosing Select will expand the invoice. Clicking Go to Customer will open the company master for the company the invoice is attached to. Roommaster 2000's Travel Agent function allows you to track travel agents' bookings and commissions. The first step is to enter the travel agent information. Click on BackOffice Travel Agent File. This window lists the travel agents entered in Roommaster 2000 and can be sorted by the agent name, agent code, or agent ID by selecting the appropriate tab. To enter a travel agent, click Insert. In the example, I will review an established travel agent, showing where all the information goes and what it will look like when it is completed. On the General tab, enter the agent information. Similar to the City Ledger, Roommaster 2000 assigns an account code and has a checkbox to mark the account inactive. In the Special Information, enter as much of the information as you have. It is highly recommended to use the travel agent IATA number as the agent code, especially if you print travel agent commission checks from Roommaster 2000. This will be reviewed later in this section. The reference field can be any internal information you wish to include. The Billing Commission tab allows you to enter an alternate address, again similar to City Ledger, to send commissions. Set the commission parameters by clicking on the drop-down box for bill type. Percentage of all nights is the default and means the travel agent gets a percentage of all the room revenue charged to the guest they booked. Percentage of first night means they get a percentage of the first night's revenue, and percentage of total bill means they get a percentage of all the guest charges, including incidentals. Fixed amount per night pays the agent a certain amount for each night the guest stays, and fixed amount per stay pays the agent a flat amount for the guest's entire stay, regardless of the number of nights. Enter the number, either percentage or flat amount, in the commission field. The billing summary shows the last transaction date, the last date a guest the travel agent is to receive commission for checked out. And last payment is the last date a commission payment was made for the travel agent from Roommaster 2000. Also displayed is the total income generated by the agent, the total commission they have earned, and how much has been paid. Again, similar to City Ledger, the Detail tab lists the folios associated with the travel agent, this time displaying the folio number, name, stay dates, commission owed, and commission paid. The folios can be sorted by number, and all the commissions paid can be hidden, leaving only commissions due. If a commission needs to be added after a guest has checked out, click on Insert. Enter the guest name, amount due, and stay dates. This can also be used when transferring from another property management system to Roommaster 2000 to enter unpaid commissions due to the travel agent. The number displays as added. This record is not actually attached to the folio. It is a good practice to go back into the folio and attach the travel agent on the Other Information tab and make a note of it on the Notes tab of the folio. The payment information is where you enter the date the commission was paid. Also enter the amount and the check number in the remittance field. Later in this section, I'll review paying commissions using Roommaster 2000's Enterprise and Premier editions, or using available reports to pay commissions through another system. If a concern arises and the commission is not to be paid at the current time, but may be in the future, check the Commission on Hold box. This keeps the commission information in the system, but will not produce a check for this commission if you write checks using Roommaster 2000. The Sales tab displays a breakdown by month of what and how much guests booked by the travel agent spent at your property. The amounts are broken down by the sales centers. Print the information by clicking Print Sales Recap. The Notes field is a free-form field allowing you to document information regarding the travel agent. Any change in terms or special arrangements or conditions should be included here. The Internet Reservations tab is for properties that have Roommaster.net. In the program, rates and guarantees can be configured differently for travel agents compared to regular guests. Travel agents can log into Roommaster.net by using their account number as the user ID and agent code as the password. You can also decide to give your travel agents, especially wholesalers, a City Ledger account within Roommaster 2000. When their City Ledger number is entered here, that account is used to guarantee the reservation when it is made through Roommaster.net. And when the reservation is checked in, the City Ledger account is already on the reservation. So during the checkout, the balance is transferred to the City Ledger account, which in turn is billed to the travel agent. Again, this process works great for wholesalers that you are going to bill for the rooms anyways. Enter a rate code for this agent here. Rates for this rate code will appear on Roommaster.net when the travel agent signs in. Checking the Allow Agent to Enter Rate Codes box allows the travel agent to book rooms on Roommaster.net using different rate codes that the property has given them. Now that the travel agent is entered, let's follow a guest through the process. A reservation is made by the travel agent and attached to the reservation on the Other Information tab. Roommaster 2000 allows you to add 2 travel agents to a reservation, each receiving their own commission on the booking. Moving forward, our guest is checked in and checked out, and during the day-end close on the day of checkout, the travel agent commission information is posted to the detail screen of the travel agent. To pay the commission due, start by printing a statement for this travel agent. Clicking Print Statement will print a statement for this travel agent only. To print a listing of commissions due for all travel agents, click on Reports, expand Owner Commissions and Travel Agents, and print the Travel Agent Billing Report or Travel Agent Statement. The billing report is an internal document that lists all commissions due. The Travel Agent Statement can be sent to the travel agent, detailing the stays and commissions associated with each stay. Either of these give you the commission owed to the travel agents. If the commissions are paid using another program, Roommaster 2000 has to be told they have been paid. Go into the travel agent a check was written for, and into the detail screen. From the billing report or the statement, open each folio included in this commission check, and in the payment information, enter the paid date and the amount of commission paid for this folio. Clicking on Mark as Paid will enter today's system date as the paid date and the amount of the commission due automatically. In Remittance, enter the check number. Remember, one commission check can include multiple folios, so the same check number may be used multiple times. If you have Roommaster 2000, Enterprise, or Premier editions, you can write checks directly from the program. It is recommended to print one of the previous reports or statements and review them for accuracy prior to writing the checks. When you are ready, go to Reports, Owners Commissions and Travel Agents, and open Travel Agent Commission Checks. The check date defaults to the computer date, but can be changed. Enter the first check number for the checks to be printed on. Roommaster 2000 is formatted to print on checks that work with QuickBooks, so request the QuickBooks format when ordering checks. The Include Negative Commissions Due and Apply to checkbox will apply any negative commissions, in other words, money the travel agent may owe you, and subtract this amount from the total check created for the travel agent. For example, during one period, the travel agent has a commission due to them for $25, but also owes the property $10 worth of commission from a previous stay. Checking this box will net pay the travel agent $15. Unchecked, the full $25 would be paid, and the travel agent would still owe you $10. Checking the Print Travel Agent IATA number will print what is entered in the Agent Code field from the General tab on the check. Again, it is highly recommended to enter the travel agent IATA number for the agent code. Notice when this is selected, the Check Memo option is disabled. If you choose the Check Memo instead, remember, all checks will have the same memo, so enter something that is consistent for all the checks to be printed, like the date range the check is for. In the print filters, you can determine to only print checks for a certain agent or for a specific date range. If you use QuickBooks, a file can be created to import into QuickBooks that will have all the check information. Enter the QuickBooks checking account, where the money is coming out of, and the expense account, the QuickBooks account for travel agent commissions. Check the Send to Manual Feed tray if your checks are in the Manual Feed tray and not in the default printer tray. It is recommended to confirm the alignment of the checks prior to actually printing on the real checks. Note the alignment someplace so you can remember it for next time. Back in the travel agent, review the Detail tab and see that the commission was paid with the information entered when printing the checks. Foreign currency setup is only available in the Enterprise and Premier editions of Roommaster 2000. With it, you can designate different currencies and their exchange rates to exchange your property. To enter currencies, click on Insert and enter a currency code and description. Enter the exchange rate for the currency. For the local currency, enter a 1. This will be the currency all others are based against. In the currency options, enter the exchange picture. This defines how the currency will appear. Different currency pictures are available in the online help. The currency type options are local, foreign, or alternate. Select local for the local or base currency. Only one currency entry can be designated as local. Likewise, only one currency entry can be designated as foreign. Foreign should be used for the second most common currency, or the one most commonly exchanged to. Use alternate for all other currency entries. These are for currencies that are not exchanged as often. If your property takes a commission for exchanging currency, enter the percentage here. Roommaster 2000 will automatically adjust the exchange rate to include the commission percentage. The round converted value to nearest whole unit amount rounds the exchanged amount. The Convert and Show this total on folio and on POS receipts checkboxes will display the converted amount under the posted amount on all folios. Check the display exchange rate on folio and POS receipt to display the exchange rate. In the example, the local currency of US dollars and a foreign currency type of British sterling have been entered. A full example of using the foreign currency screen is given in the front desk section of this video. The Update Rates option is available with the IQ Currency add-on. IQ Currency allows you to obtain the latest exchange rates through a web service. Contact your local Inquest software representative for more information. To configure an account code to automatically prompt the foreign currency window when posting to a folio, go to Setup, Configuration, Guest Ledger, Account Codes, Other Options, and check the box for Prompt for Foreign Currency. In the example, account code 200 was used. When that account code is used to post to a guest folio, the foreign currency screen appears. The foreign currency option can be added to the posting screen by selecting the option under Setup, Configuration, Guest Ledger, Show Foreign Currency on Transaction screen. Roommaster 2000's Guest Profile feature allows you to retain and summarize your guests' information. It can become like an address book of your guests. It can also track contact information for potential guests or sales leads. First, I'll do a quick review of how to obtain the guest profiles. Then, look at the information that can be added. Also, making a reservation using the guest profile information will be reviewed. Setup, Configuration, History is where you set the guest profile settings. It is recommended to require guest profile records for new reservations and for walk-ins. The auto lookup feature is also helpful. To make sure to always save a guest profile, check the Auto Create Guest Profile checkbox. Finally, it is highly recommended to check the Do Not Save Credit Card Information to Guest Profile for PCI compliance. Details of what each of these options do are in your help text. The History section is also reviewed in detail in the History section of the Setup video available for download from the Setup Configuration menu. While the option selected will automatically create a guest profile, you can always add one by clicking Insert. Let's review an existing profile to see the information included and what can be added. On the name screen, all the information from the reservation is entered. That is why it is important to get the guest's information and not whoever is making the reservation. With a local email client set up, clicking here will automatically open a new email to be sent to the address. Two extra fields are Follow-up and Opt-out. The Follow-up field allows you to mark the guest profile to have some action taken, from sending an email to making a reservation. The selected flag appears in the follow-up column, and a quick report can be set up to print out profiles with specific follow-up flags. Click the Clear Flag button to remove the flag. The Opt-out box defines whether the guest is willing to receive mailings or emails sent by the property. Set to Do Not Mail, the guest profile will be skipped when the guest profile labels are printed. Do Not Email will skip the profile when the email addresses are exported. Place Guest on Unwelcome List marks this profile as a problem guest. If they make a reservation and the profile is selected, a warning window appears advising the guest is on the Do Not Rent list. It will not stop the reservation from being made. The same window appears when the guest checks in. The Personal tab is where you can enter specific information about the guest, such as their birthday or their likes and dislikes. It also displays the sales statistics for the guest. The Stay Information tab allows you to set reservation defaults for the guest. As previously stated, it is not recommended to enter the guest credit card information here to maintain PCI compliance. But the guest's company or direct bill account or travel agent can be set. If the original reservation contains this information, it will automatically be entered. The guest's room and rate preference can be entered in the Stay Information section. The guest rate can even be overridden or a specific discount applied to whatever rate they are given. Even their favorite room can be documented. The Special tab displays the custom fields from a guest reservation. Again, defaults for this guest can be entered that will be copied over when a reservation is made. Roommaster 2000 allows you to define an expiration date and specific number of visits a guest can make. In the Membership Profile section, when a guest expiration date is entered, the guest cannot check in after the date entered. If a reservation is made for a date past the expiration date, a warning screen appears advising the guest's membership expiration date will expire prior to the check-in date of the reservation. If the membership is limited to a specific number of visits, enter the number allowed in the Number of Visits field and check the Do Not Allow After Number of Visits Defined box. The Notes tab, again, is a free-form field to document information regarding the guest. Check the Copy this note into guest record to have this information appear as a note when a reservation is made using this profile. If the guest always has a specific housekeeping request, enter it in Housekeeping Note, and it will also be copied into the reservation and the folio. The Inquiry Information tab is different in that it is used for potential guests rather than guests that have made reservations or have already stayed at the property. This is a great tool for sales to use to track leads and contact information rather than maintaining it in a separate database. The Marketing Information section details how the contact heard about the property. Enter that information in the Heard From field. The drop-down box displays some standard ways the contact may have discovered your property. The Contacted Via field is how the person contacted the property. Again, it can be typed in or use one of the suggestions from the drop-down box. Interest 1 and 2 are why the contact was interested in the property. Interest suggestions can be created by clicking on the magnifying glass and then Insert. Up to a 10-character code can be entered and then a full description. Once the interest is created, highlight it and click Select to include it on the profile. The mailing response information is the action to be or already taken by the property. Select the response priority from the drop-down box. If the contact was referred by someone else, enter their name in the Referred By field. The last mail date is the last time something was sent to the contact. This information is manually entered, as is the Respond By date. Inquiry Notes is a free-form field to document information. Use it as a conversation log with the contact. The Envelope button displays the Print Envelope prompt screen reviewed previously. Clicking Clipboard copies the name and address information to the Windows and Roommaster 2000 clipboard to then be pasted into a document or location. Print, fax, or email letter allow you to send guest profile letters using those methods. Creating letters in the letter editor is reviewed later in this section. Clicking History Detail displays the past stay folios for the guest, with number being the folio number. Clicking the Expand button displays the folio from guest history. Adjustments and their postings can be done from this point, but again it will bring the folio out of history and into the guest ledger. The Move button allows you to move a folio from one guest profile to another. This is very helpful to combine duplicate profiles. Highlight the folio and click Move. Enter the guest profile number to move the folio to, and click OK. The folio move, but the stay information is not added to the statistics on the Personal tab. The easiest way to make a reservation and include the information from the guest profile is to click on New Reservation in the guest profile. The reservation screen will appear with all the information from the profile completed. Edit the stay dates and confirm the rate and guarantee method. Guests do not always announce that they have stayed with you previously, but it is good practice to ask while making a reservation. With the guest profile settings reviewed previously, Roommaster 2000 will look for a matching profile when a first and last name is entered. The best match will appear on the first line. Click Use Suggestion to use the highlighted profile. Click No Match if it is not a match. If the Auto Create Guest Profile setting is checked, a new profile will be created. Unchecked, no profile is retained. This allows you to have more than one John Smith. Look Up Other Profiles displays all the guest profiles, allowing you to select which profile to attach the folio to. Cancel gets you out of the profile lookup screen, but when Roommaster 2000 is set to require a profile to complete a reservation, the Select Profile screen will redisplay before you can complete the reservation. Use the Skip Profile button when the Auto Lookup Guest Profile is turned on, but the Require Profile settings are turned off. This tells Roommaster you do not want to keep a profile for this guest and will not bring up the Select screen again. On the Guest Profile window, you have the options to insert, change, and delete, to add, modify, or remove a guest profile. And quick reports can be created on the guest profile data. The Premier Edition has two extra options. The Filter List option allows you to display only certain records based on specific criteria. Let's say you only wanted to see guest profiles from a certain state. In Define More Criteria, click the drop-down box and a list of the fields in the guest profile appears. Select State for this example. Leave the function at equals and then select the state to display. Only entries in the field appear in the drop-down box. Clicking Add puts the criteria in the Find section. Click Finish to display the profiles that match the filter criteria. More than one set of criteria can be filtered. So if you wanted to see profiles with the same last name from a certain state, complete the same steps as above for the state. Then select Last Name Equals and select the last name you are looking for from the list. Checking the Must Meet All criteria means the profile has to be true for both questions to be displayed. If it was unchecked in our example, all the profiles from the state selected and any profile with the chosen last name would be displayed. Show Query will display the actual SQL statement created. Clear All removes all the questions, and Remove deletes only the highlighted item. To remove the filter and display all guest profiles, click No Filter. Also in the Premier Edition is the Move to New Guest Profile button. Use this to combine duplicate profiles. Highlight the profile to move, then enter the profile number to move to. All the folios from the guest profile moved now appear in the profile they were moved to, and the statistics on the personal information page reflect all the information from all the folios. Again, this function is only available in the Premier Edition. Let's take a look at reports associated with guest profiles. In Reports, select Groups, Guest History, and Profiles. With the Show Description button checked, a description of each report appears. The profile reports are guest profile labels through the popular guest report. Reports with a green dash are only available in the Enterprise and Premier Editions. Use the reports and labels to refine your guest list for marketing purposes and for sending mailings. The Inquiries and Prospects reports pull from the data entered on the Inquiry Information tab, as well as the follow-up flag. Guest History Detail is a listing of all the folios moved out of the guest ledger at checkout and into history. Roommaster 2000 stores this information indefinitely until it is purged, and even then can retain it in an archived folder. Years of records can be retained, but it is recommended to purge on a regular basis to keep Roommaster 2000 running efficiently. See the help text for more information on purging. The guest history detail records can be sorted by guest name, check-in date, or folio number. Different from a guest profile, each stay is listed in the guest history detail section, rather than being combined under one entry. So there will be multiple entries for the same guest. Expanding a guest history detail record displays the folio. From this point, you can make changes to the properties of the folio, but when a posting needs to be made, a message screen appears stating the folio will be returned to the guest ledger. Only folios in the guest ledger, and not in history, can have postings made to them. As mentioned earlier in the video, to make an adjustment, do not check the guest back into a room. Just leave them in checked out status and make any adjustments necessary. If the balance on the folio is 0, the folio will be returned to the history section during the day end close. If a balance is left, the folio remains in the Guest Checked Out tab of folios until the balance is 0. Roommaster 2000 allows you to export email addresses from the guest profiles to import into a third-party bulk mailing software. To be exported, the profile must have an entry in the email address field, allow emails to be sent, and not be on the unwelcomed list. The export file can be formatted as either a comma-separated value or CSV file, or as an XML document. The file is placed inside the Roommaster 2000 folder on the server. The default name is Roommaster Email, as shown, but it can be edited to a name of your choice. The extension will change automatically depending on the export type selected. It is recommended to give the file a different name. Otherwise, each time the export is run, it will overwrite the current file. Checking the Only Certain Records box brings up the query wizard to narrow down the records to be retrieved. Checking the Easy Mail option will also export the first name, last name, prefix, company name, spouse, and last checkout information. Unchecked, only the email address is extracted. Checking the Open File for View after Exporting option will open the file created. Click Extract and the query window appears if checked. If not, a message window appears advising of how many records were created in the file. Click OK to close. If the Open File option is selected, the file will open. From here you can make edits or additions. Save the file, and when done, you will be able to send this information to your marketing group or use it to send out your own mass emailing. Click Cancel to close the export window. The file created is saved in the Roommaster 2000 directory. If the Open File option is not checked, to view the file, go to your desktop and right-click on the Roommaster 2000 icon. Select Properties and locate the Find Target option. In Vista and Windows 7, it is labeled Open File Location. This links you directly to the Roommaster 2000 folder. Then locate the file. The letter editor is where you can create letter templates to send information to your guests. How to create the letter templates in both HTML and rich text formats will be reviewed, including entering pictures, tables, and hyperlinks in the HTML format. How to use and create runtime variables to merge the guest information into the letter is also reviewed. Start by going to BackOffice Letter Editor. From here, you can select the template type you want to create or edit. Company City Ledger letters are sent from Company Masters, and guest profile letters are sent from guest profiles. Confirmation letters are accessed in guest reservations. I'll use the confirmation letter template type since it is the most frequently used, but the procedures are the same for the other template types also. Select Confirmation Letters and click Next. From here, the letter type is selected. The confirmation letter and other letter types are both sent from the reservation screen, but confirmation letter types will enter the date the letter was sent in the Letters Sent field in the Other Information tab of a reservation. Select Next again, and the current confirmation letters appear. Roommaster 2000 includes sample standard confirmation letters in both HTML and rich text format. These can be used as guides to create letters for your own property. Let's review the features of both formats, starting with HTML. HTML format allows you to create documents that give the guests their information in a dynamic and professional manner. This is the sample letter that is included in Roommaster 2000. I'll use this to show you how to add pictures, tables, and hyperlinks to HTML letter templates. To add a picture, click on the picture icon. Before going further, it is important to review where to save the pictures included in HTML letters. All users that print or email HTML letters that include pictures need to have permission through Windows to the picture. Since all Roommaster 2000 users have access to the Roommaster directory, a folder named HTML Images has been included in the directory, specifically to store pictures for HTML letters. This is the recommended method for storing the pictures locally. Pictures can also be stored externally on your website. The disadvantage to this is you may have limited access and control of the pictures, depending on your website developer. From the prompt box, you can select the picture. If your pictures are stored locally in the HTML Images file, navigate to the file and select the picture. If the pictures are stored on your website, enter the website address. The alternate text is what appears if the picture does not appear in the letter. Enter a description of the picture or something to let the guest know what should be appearing there. In the Layout section, you can set the alignment for the picture and also add a border. Horizontal and vertical spacing options assist in placing the picture where you want. For this example, no changes need to be made. It is easy to update your letters by saving a new picture under the same file name. All links to that file name will now show the new picture automatically. Using tables in your letters allows you to give a clean look to any lists in your letters. Place the cursor where the table should be inserted and click on the table icon. Select the number of rows and columns needed in the table and the width required. Cell spacing is the amount of space between cells. Cell padding is the space between the contents of a cell and a cell wall. The left column width is set as a percentage of the overall width of the table. This is usually where the labels are entered. Check Add Table Border to display the borders of the table in your template and letter. Unchecked, none will appear. To turn the table borders on or off, click on the table borders icon. Hyperlinks can be added quickly and easily to HTML letters, but obviously can only be used if the letter is emailed. On the letter template, highlight the text that will be the link and press the hyperlink icon. HTTP appears by default since it is the most commonly used, but others are available. Enter the address of the website in the URL field and press OK. To create an email link, highlight the text you want to be the link. Select Mail To as the type and enter the email address to receive the emails. Properties that have the Roommaster.net add-on can include an opt-out link on HTML letters. The opt-out option only works with other letters, guest profile letters, and company city ledger letters. To work correctly, the proper link must be entered on the Extras tab of the Roommaster.net control panel. To add the opt-out link to a letter, place the cursor in the letter where the link should go and select the opt-out link option. Click here will appear as a link by default. Edit the link to how you want it included in the letter. When a guest or company selects the link, the opt-out on their guest profile or company master, respectively, is changed to Do Not Mail or Do Not Email and Email, depending on the previous setting. Roommaster 2000 includes an option to view the HTML code of the letter template if you prefer. Click the icon to toggle between the letter template and the code. One restriction of HTML letters is they can only be sent from Roommaster 2000 using the SMTP settings. They will not work using the MAPI settings, since HTML was developed after MAPI. To configure your SMTP settings, go to Setup, Configuration, System, Internet Settings, and click on the Set Up Outgoing SMTP Server option. For assistance in determining your SMTP information, contact your local IT professional. Click OK when complete. On the Internet Settings window, you can select how letters will be sent globally and for each workstation. The default email settings are the global settings, how emails will be sent from all workstations. Use the drop-down box to select SMTP Exchange Server or to use a local email client. Enter a return email address and a name if desired. The Workstation Override section will set how emails are sent from this workstation. Use default email settings will use the settings entered for default email settings. Or select to use the SMTP Exchange Server or the local email client. Again, enter an email address and name. Click OK when done. Rich text formatted letters can also be created. Rich text has basically the same features as a word processing program. The Load RTF button allows you to create a letter in Microsoft Word and save it as an RTF file. Then import it into the reservation letter editor. The other options on the letter editor screen are the same for both formats. Save will save the current copy of the letter and close the window. Press Cancel to close the window without saving any changes. The Options button allows you to set specific options for each letter template. Automatically Prompt for an envelope will display a message to print an envelope when this letter is printed. The Always Allow Editing document before printing or emailing lets you customize the letter prior to printing or sending it to a guest. Use this option for letters that you want to personalize. The email subject field is where you enter what you want to appear as the subject when the letter is emailed. For example, for a confirmation letter for the sample hotel, Blue Lagoon Suites room confirmation could be entered. A valid formula can be used also, as long as the Evaluate the Email Subject as a Valid Formula is checked. The Blind Copy or BCC email field allows you to receive a copy of letters when they are sent. Since options are letter specific, a different email address can be entered depending on the letter. Use the reservations email address for confirmation letters and the accounting address for company city ledger letters. In the start-stop period, you can enter a time frame the letter is available to be sent. For confirmation letters, the dates evaluated are the check-in and check-out dates of the reservation. For guest profiles and city ledger letters, the computer date is used. Check the Letter is Disabled box to retain the letter, but not have it display as an option. Again, these options are for this specific letter template. Different options can be set for each letter template. The description field is where you enter the name of the letter. This will appear in the letter list and when selecting the letter to send. The last field is the list of runtime variables. Roommaster 2000 includes variables for the basic fields of a reservation. Variables are noted in the text by asterisks at the beginning and end of the variable. This allows you to merge information from reservations, guest profiles, or company masters into the letter template to personalize the letter. Custom runtime variables can be created in 3 different formats: HTML, rich text, and plain text. It is important to note that HTML variables will only work in HTML formatted letters, and rich text variables will only work with rich text formatted letters. Plain text variables can be used in either letter format, HTML or rich text. For previous users, detailed instructions on how to convert your current rich text runtime variables to HTML variables is included in the help text. To create a runtime variable, first choose the template type. Just like letter templates, runtime variables will only appear in Roommaster 2000 in the area of the program they are created for. A runtime variable created in the guest profile template type will not appear as a variable in confirmation letters. Click Next and select Runtime Variables. Then select Next again. Any previously created variables will appear. Let's go through creating a variable for confirmation letters, so when a guest books a suite, an extended description of the room is included in the confirmation letter. Click Insert. This would be considered a conditional variable. If something equals this, then do that. Prompt for value means you'll be prompted to enter information when the letter is printed. For example, if a guest was charged for an insufficient funds check, you could be prompted to enter the amount and check number of the bad check. A calculation formula value allows you to create a variable that can be calculated from an already existing field, such as instead of saying your cancellation policy is 3 days, you could create a variable that will print an actual date the guest needs to cancel by. See the help text for more information on prompt for value and calculation formula variables. Enter a field name. In the example, suite is entered and in description, suite room description. The if statement is where the condition to be evaluated is set. Click Build and a query wizard appears. To make a new query, click Insert and a list of the fields available to evaluate is displayed. Whether the guest booked a suite is what needs to be evaluated. so room type is selected. Click Next. Select is equal to, so a true statement will be returned when the reservation is a suite, and enter SUIT, the room type code, for the value entry. Click Next. The final query is displayed. Click Finish and enter a name to save the query. The text displayed means if the room type is suite. At this point, the format of the variable needs to be entered. As noted previously, HTML variables will only work with HTML letters. Rich text variables will only work with rich text letters and only allow rich text formatting. Plain text variables work with both HTML and rich text letters. For the example, select Rich Text Format. Now the then of the statement can be added. Click on Change Conditional Value if true. This is where the extended room description is entered. Other runtime variables can be used in the runtime variable. If the statement is false, nothing should print, so it is left blank. Click OK when done. To add the new runtime variable to the confirmation letter template, click Previous, then Confirmation Letter, and open the letter to insert the variable. Where the letter has the room description, the new variable is entered. But what displays if the room is not a suite? Since the false statement was blank, nothing. But what if you want something to show for each different room type? For that, a variable can be created for each room type, the same way as for the suite, using the room type equals room type code formula. In the true statement, an extended description is entered for that room type, and the false statement is left blank. So now each new variable is entered next to each other in the letter, and regardless of the room type, the correct extended description will appear in the correct location. Click Save to save and close. Runtime variables can also be used to enter pictures into letter templates in HTML. For example, entering the guest room picture for the room type the guest is reserving. In the HTML letter template, place the cursor where you want the picture and then press the picture icon. Then enter the location or navigate to one of the pictures of the rooms. Edit the picture source and enter the room type variable as the name of the picture. To get the best results, certain rules need to be followed. All pictures need to be stored in the same location. The HTML images folder or a specific location on your website are highly recommended. Also, all pictures need to be the same size, since each of them will be occupying the same space in the letter. Another rule is all pictures must be the same file type. Any file type, GIF, TIFF, JPEG, or .png can be used, but each picture must use the same file type. Finally, the names of the pictures need to be the same as the room types in Room Master 2000. If the suite room type code is SUIT, then the file name of the picture needs to be SUIT.png, or whatever other file type you are using. Entering a new letter from scratch is easy, but can be time-consuming. When possible, copy an existing letter and edit it for your needs. For example, the sample property decides it will start sending pre-arrival letters to guests. Much of the information will be the same as the confirmation letter, so it is easy to copy the letter and edit it. Highlight Standard Confirmation Letter and select Copy. A duplicate of the letter appears. Change the description of the letter to Pre-Arrival Letter and make the needed changes. When complete, click Save. The new letter appears in the list. Again, all the procedures reviewed for the confirmation letters template type are the same for guest profile letters and company city ledger letters. Just remember, runtime variables created can only be used in the template type they were created under. The letter scheduler allows you to send pre-arrival and post-stay letters automatically, right from Roommaster 2000. For pre-stay letters, advise your guests of events happening during their stay, or offer to make reservations to your golf course, spa, or restaurant. Post-stay letters can be used as an electronic comment card, or offer discounts for future visits to create return business. This feature is only available in the Premier Edition and requires the SMTP settings for sending emails be used. SMTP settings are configured in Setup, Configuration, System, Internet Settings, Setup Outgoing SMTP Server. For assistance in determining your SMTP information, speak with your local IT professional. There are two options in this section that will assist in sending email letters. Always check the domain names when exiting email fields will review the domain of an email address to confirm it is valid. The domain is the portion after the @ symbol. If an invalid domain is entered, a message will appear asking to correct the domain. This helps prevent errors in entering email addresses for guests. Resolve domain names prior to sending to SMTP server will perform the same check when sending an email using the SMTP settings. While not completely foolproof, checking both of these settings will help make sure emails from the property reach their intended destination. Go to BackOffice Letter Scheduler. Start to schedule a letter to be sent by clicking Insert in the Schedule Jobs section. In Letter Information, select whether this should be an arrival letter, reservations, or a post-stay letter, profile. The type of letter selected will determine which letters will appear when selecting the Choose a Letter option. The letters are created using the letter editor, reviewed previously. When reservation is selected, only confirmation and other letters will appear. When profile is selected, only letters from the guest profile section will appear. When a letter is selected, the description defaults to the name of the letter, but the same letter could be used for different scheduled jobs, especially when the filter is used. Enter a description of the specific job to make it easier to identify the letter being sent and any parameters. In the Other Information section, use the drop-down box to choose whether a user should process this job manually or if it should be processed nightly after the night audit is completed. Like choosing a letter, the days option is different depending on the letter type selected. Days prior appears when reservation is checked. Enter the number of days prior to the guest arrival date you want the letter sent. When profile is selected, days after is the number of days after the guest checkout date. If this option is set to 0, all future reservations or all guest profiles will be included in the scheduled job to receive the letter. In email settings, enter the email address the email should appear as sent from. If the guest replies to the email, this should be the email mailbox that should receive the message. Each scheduled job can have a different email address, so for reservations email letters sent, you might use your reservations email address, or for post-stay surveys, have them sent back to the general manager. Whatever email mailbox is used, it should be monitored on a regular basis. The Filter tab lets you refine which of your future or past guests should receive the email letter sent in the scheduled job. In the If Statement section, select Build to open the Query Wizard and create your query. Again, whether the reservation or profile option is selected will determine the fields that can be used in the query. The check feature will verify your query is valid if written manually. The SQL Statement section allows you to create SQL statements to further refine the guests to receive your email. To work correctly, the result of the SQL statement must either be a 0 or 1. See the online help for more information. On the Confirmation tab, enter the email address to receive the job status response. This is an email containing information about the job, including how many emails were sent successfully and how many failures occurred. Check the Include Listing of All Errors option to have the guest name, email address, and error message included. The preview window displays who would receive the email if it were sent at that moment with the current parameters. Let's do a quick example. The sample property has a great kids program to market to arriving guests. An HTML letter has been created and the SMTP settings are all configured. To schedule the job, click Insert and the default is Reservation, which is correct for this job. Select the letter to send by clicking the bar. I will edit the description to include how many days out the letter is sent. Schedule this job to run after night audit is selected to send this email letter nightly to arriving guests, and the number of days is set to 14. The reply email address is set to the Kids Club email address, and the name entered. On the Filter tab, an if statement is built that says if children does not equal 0. This way, only reservations with children will receive the email, since most likely those without children would not be interested in the program. On the Confirmation tab, the Reservation Manager email address is entered to receive the job status email. The Preview tab shows the guest reservations that will receive the email letter if the scheduled job is processed at this time. Click OK to save the scheduled job. As a side note, when using the letter scheduler to send regular confirmation letters, the filter displayed is recommended to include all reservations made on the audit date that just closed. Remember, when the scheduled job is set to run automatically, it happens after the audit date has already changed. The expression displayed filters for all reservations where the entry date equals the current audit date, -1. For example, if the audit for December 3rd was just completed, the audit date would now be December 4th. With this filter entered, reservations made on December 3rd would be included in the job. Now the scheduled job is ready to be sent using the SMTP settings. The type of SMTP server your property uses will determine the settings to enter in Setup. These settings are to make sure when large numbers of emails are sent at the same time, they will flow smoothly. Click on Recommended Settings. If your property uses an internal mail or Exchange server, select Internal Mail Server. Select one of the options if your property uses one listed. If another external email provider is used, contact your IT professional or email provider to determine the proper settings. More detailed information on internal and external email providers is given in the online help. While most jobs will run automatically, to run a scheduled job manually, click Start New Job. Run Interactively will not allow other features of Roommaster 2000 to be accessed from this workstation until the job is completed. Use this option from a BackOffice or Manager's workstation that would not be needed for regular operations while the job completes. The Run in Background option will not process the job as quickly, but will allow the user to continue to work in Roommaster 2000 while the job is completed. Once a scheduled job has completed, it appears in Job History with a status indicator, the date and time the job was run, and the initials of the user. The total number of emails included in the job, how many were successful, and the number of failed emails also displays. The status of the job along with how long it took to run are also shown. A green status means all the email domains were valid at the SMTP server and sent on. A yellow status means some were accepted, but there were errors on others. Red means none of the emails in the job were sent. Click Expand to view the details. Here the guest information is displayed, along with any message errors. Checking Show Only Send Errors will display only emails that received an error message. To correct an email address, highlight the incorrect email address and select Fix Email. If the incorrect information is for a guest profile email letter, a window appears allowing you to correct the email address. If the incorrect information is for a reservation email letter, a screen appears allowing you to change the email on the reservation and also update the guest profile information. Selecting Erase Email and delete this entry will remove the email address from the reservation and the guest profile, and also remove the reservation from the scheduled job. To just delete the entry from being included in the scheduled email letter job, select Delete and follow the prompts. No changes will be made to the guest email address on the reservation or guest profile, depending on the letter being sent. If email addresses are corrected, select Resume Job to continue the selected job. Select Delete Job to remove a selected job from the history window. Delete All Jobs will remove all jobs for the selected letter. Again, Letter Scheduler is only available in the Premier Edition of Roommaster 2000. For more information on the Premier Edition, contact your local Inquest software representative. Reservation rules are comments and restrictions regarding reservations made at the property during a certain time period. They allow you to notify the reservation maker and even halt reservations that can create overbooking problems or are not within certain booking policies of the property. We'll review where to set up a reservation rule, then how to create a rule. Start by clicking on BackOffice Reservation Rules Setup. The Reservation Rules Setup screen is displayed, listing all the current reservation rules, if any. Clicking Insert to add a reservation rule brings up the General tab of the Add Rules record screen. The Period and Days Rule is in Effect section is where you define the date range, days of the week, and occupancy percentage of the rule. This is the first piece of data reviewed on the rule. If the reservation does not fall within all the ranges set here, it will not be applied. The date range has to be completed. To make a rule you want to happen all the time, enter today's date as the lower date and the same date 10 years from now as the higher date. Then you will not have to worry about it for 10 years. It can always be edited later if needed. Check the days of the week the rule applies to. If the rule only applies on Fridays and Saturdays, uncheck all the boxes except Friday and Saturday. Rules can be set to only trigger at certain occupancy percentages or within certain ranges. The occupancy is based on the occupancy percentage on the check-in date at the time the reservation is made. If the check-in date of a reservation changes, the rules for the new check-in date are reviewed. Rules can also be determined by the occupancy at the time the reservation is made. If the rule should always be in effect, leave both occupancies at 0. To allow for overbooking, the higher occupancy can be greater than 100. In the Rules in Effect section, Roommaster 2000 lists common rules properties may use on a regular basis. Checking required assigned rooms means for the time period defined in the first section, all new reservations must have a room assigned before the reservation will be saved. Require guarantee information means the reservation must have a hold type that includes a guarantee. It cannot be a non-guaranteed hold type. No discounts allowed means during the time frame, no discounts can be applied to the reservation. Checking Do Not Allow New Reservations will block you from making a reservation during the specified time frame. However, if a current reservation check-in date is changed to within this date range, the reservation will be accepted. Closed to arrivals means no new or old reservations can check in within the date range specified. Entering a number in minimum night stay means during the specified time frame, the guest reservation must be at least that number of days. Note that these rules are applied to Roommaster and Roommaster.net reservations, the online booking engine. The details of the reservation rule can be entered in the display comment box. If the rule is a 3-night minimum, enter 3-night minimum on these dates in the comment box. This will appear on the availability screen when the rules are displayed. A generic message hard-coded in Roommaster 2000 will appear as a message box at the end of the reservation in Roommaster.net if the rule on the General tab is triggered. To show this comment box when the stays dates are entered on a reservation, check the Show Comment when making a reservation. When checked, the comment will appear as soon as the dates are entered in the reservation to act as a reminder. Be careful when using this box, because if there are many reservation rules applied to a time frame, you will need to click through each comment box before starting to enter any information for the guest. Check Ignore this rule for meeting type rooms when rooms that are not part of the regular availability should not be affected by the rule. Check the rule can be overridden with reservation override password if there may be an exception to a rule, like a frequent guest is trying to book on a busy day. Setting the override password is covered in the next portion of this video. On the Advanced tab of the Add Rules record screen, you can create your own unique and specific reservation rules. Those familiar with Clarion syntax can simply type the rule in the if statement field. If not, click the Build button to display the query wizard. I'll review the query wizard when doing an example reservation rule. The alert message box is the message that will appear when the advanced reservation rule evaluates as a true statement. Enter a short title for the message window in window title. There are 3 options for alert type. When Halt User Cannot Continue is selected, the reservation cannot be saved as it is. The portion of the reservation making the reservation rule a true statement needs to be changed, or cancel out of the reservation and start over. Selecting Warning User Prompted Whether to Continue means you are told the reservation rule is true, but you can continue and save the reservation. Informational means the message window appears with just an OK button. This tells the user the reservation rule has been triggered, but does not stop anything. For advanced rules to evaluate reservations made from Roommaster.net, check the Advanced rule also affects Roommaster.net bookings box. Unchecked, the rule will only evaluate reservations made in Roommaster 2000. Note that warning and informational messages do not work with Roommaster.net, since there is no user interaction. If the reservation returns a true statement, it will be halted. There is not an option to warn or inform the guest making the reservation. The information entered in the message box will appear to the guest attempting to book through Roommaster.net, so be sure the message is guest appropriate, and you may want to include a phone number to contact the property. Those are the screens of the reservation rules. Now let's put one together. First, an easy one. The property always requires the room be assigned with the reservation. This helps ensure there is a room for every reservation. Open the reservation rule setup, set a lower date. It can be previous to the current date, and then a higher date. Since this is a hotel policy until further notice, set the year into the distant future, 10 years as suggested before. It is for all days and occupancies, so leave those alone. Check the Require Assigned Rooms box and enter a comment in the box. Since this is a policy the user should be aware of, I will not check the Show Comment. I'll check the Ignore for meeting rooms, but not the Override checkbox. If a room cannot be assigned, The reservation cannot be made without changing the room type. Click OK, and the reservation rule is done. Again, this will affect Roommaster.net reservations also. Now, when making a reservation, if a room is not assigned, an attention box appears telling the user to assign a room. Now one that is a little more complex. Let's say the property has a 5-night minimum during their peak months of December and January. Again, click on Insert and this time enter a lower date of December 1 and a higher date of January 31st. Make sure to get the years correct. In minimum night stay, enter 5. Put a comment in the display box and check Ignore this rule on meeting room types. Click OK to close. Now, when trying to make a reservation for less than 5 nights, an attention box appears. Change the nights to 5 and the reservation can be completed. Lastly, let's say the property is running a summer special that is available when the occupancy is less than 60% and has a 3-night minimum. A special rate code has been created. On the General tab, enter the date range and in the higher occupancy, 60%. Type a comment in the display box and check the Show Comment. This alerts the user this special is available to sell. On the Advanced tab, click Build to bring up the query wizard. Select Insert to create a new query. This is where the evaluation statement is created. The statement needs to say if the rate on the reservation is the special rate code, the nights of the stay must be at least 3 nights. So I'll use the wizard to write this. First we need the rate code, so from the fields to evaluate, scroll and select Rate Type. In the query wizard, rate type is the rate code. And click Next. I'll select Equal to because I want to only affect reservations with this rate type. Next, type in the special rate code created. It will not be case sensitive unless the case sensitive checkbox is marked. Next, the current query appears. At this point, it just asks what the rate type is, but the number of nights also needs to be evaluated. If either part of the statement needs to be true to stop the reservation, you would select OR. Since both parts of the statement need to be true to stop the reservation, select AND. This takes you back to the field selection, and this time room nights is what needs to be reviewed. Scroll to Nights, highlight and click Next. This time on the operation selection, we want to stop any reservations that are less than 3 nights, but anything 3 nights or over are fine. To do this, select is less than and click Next, and then enter 3. Next. Now the entire statement appears. This says if the rate code on the reservation is SPEC and the nights of the stay are less than 3, do not allow the reservation. Let's add one more variable. Let's say the 3-night minimum should be applied to all rooms except the penthouses. To do this, select AND again, and this time scroll to Room Type. Click Next. Since all room types are affected by the rule except penthouses, select is not equal to. Click Next and type in the penthouse room type, PENT. Next takes you to the final query screen. Now the statement says if the rate type on the reservation is SPEC and the nights of the stay are less than 3 and the room type is something other than a penthouse, stop the reservation. Click Finish and a prompt appears to save the query. Enter a descriptive name so you can remember what this query does. Click Yes and you return to the Advanced tab. The text in the if statement box is the Clarion syntax for the statement just written. Complete the window title and message sections and leave the alert type at Halt User. Check the box to affect Roommaster.net if the special rate is available there also. To test, I'll try and make a reservation that should trigger the reservation rule. When a reservation is made for any room type other than penthouse for less than 3 nights, the message window appears and the user cannot continue. Note that if a reservation rule is triggered in Roommaster 2000, it will trigger in Roommaster.net if configured to do so. As mentioned at the beginning, the reservation rules can appear on the availability screen by clicking the Rules button. Only rules applicable to the dates viewed appear. To see one that is made for next summer, change the availability dates to that time frame and it will appear. The reservation override password allows you to control who can add more reservation than rooms you have in Roommaster 2000. Remember from the availability screen, overbookings are by room type, not property occupancy. If you are overbooked by 3 rooms for one room type but have 3 rooms available for another, a reservation for a room of the available room type will be accepted. If a reservation will create an overbooking by room type, the overbooking summary does appear. To configure the overbooking password, check the Use Reservation Override password box and enter a password. If you forget the password, click Show Password. Restrict who has access to this feature through the menu profiles. In the BackOffice section of the menu class, disable the Reservation Override password for all menu classes except those you want. You may have to create multiple menu classes to set each user's permissions to how you want them. When a reservation is added that creates an overbooking, after clicking on Close in the overbooking summary, a window appears asking for the overbooking password. Enter the password and the reservation is accepted. Without it, the reservation cannot be saved. Messages and Mail is an email system within Roommaster 2000. With it, internal messages can be sent from user to user or management to staff. The mailbox can be viewed from BackOffice, Messages, and Mail. Or click the mailbox icon in the icon bar. Also, if there is a message waiting for a user when they sign in, a prompt screen will appear asking if they want to view the message now or not. Click Yes to open your mailbox. Notice the S column shows an envelope indicating an unread message. Double-click or highlight and click Open Message to view. After reading the message, you have a few options. You could print it by clicking on Print. You could simply delete it by clicking the Delete button. Clicking Close will close the message and leave it in your inbox. At the end of the month, any read messages older than 60 days will be purged automatically. Notice the icon is now an opened envelope since the message has been read. To save the message for a longer period of time, check the Archive Save box and click Close. This message is then moved to the Archive Save section of your mailbox. Messages saved here can only be deleted by the user or when the user profile is deleted. Another option is to reply to the message. To include the message received in your reply, click the Reply with Quote icon, the double envelopes. Click Reply and select to choose a recipient. If the message is only being sent to one person, you can enter their initials. Otherwise, the To button needs to be used. Enter the body of the email using the formatting tools provided to give emphasis. The 2 drop-down boxes on the right allow you to change the font color of all or a certain section of the message, or highlight a section, again for emphasis. The message will be saved to the outbox automatically. To send a new message, click Create Message and use the button to choose a recipient and enter a subject. Checking the Important box will display an exclamation point for the receiver. Checking Receipt will send you a copy of the message when the receiver opens it. This copy receipt can be placed in your archive save folder. Click OK to send the message. To send messages to multiple users at once, a distribution group can be created. Open a new message and click on To. Highlight the users to be part of the group and click Add to move them to the Selected Names window. When all the names have been selected, click Create Update Distribution Group. Type in the group name, Front Desk in my example, and click OK. To select a group to send a message to, click on the drop-down box at the bottom of the Select Distribution screen. Roommaster 2000 defaults with groups already configured for managers, supervisors, auditors, and clerks. I'll select the Front Desk group just created, and only the names attached to the group appear in the Available Names pane. Select Add All to add them to the selected names. Depending on the space available, the user's names or initials may display. From this point, send the message as you normally would. The inbox can be sorted either by date or by subject. To delete a single message, use the Delete button. Clicking the Delete All option displays two options. Delete All Read will remove all messages from the inbox that have been opened. Delete All, even if unread, will remove all messages in your inbox. For both options, a confirmation prompt will appear before the entries are deleted. Chart of Accounts is a listing of all the account codes configured in Roommaster 2000, displaying the account number, description, external account, and group, account type, and the balance for the current month. Tax agency names are also displayed. Information from previous months for a particular account code can be displayed by highlighting the account code and clicking Show Account History. The top pane displays the month and year along with the account code description. The total amount for the month, along with the average amount posted for the month, are also shown. The default is to show all months available. Clicking the drop-down box allows you to display only a single month, the current year, or the previous year. The bottom pane shows the totals and average per day for the account code. To view the details for a particular day, double-click on the day. Each transaction for that account code for that day is displayed. The Quick Reports button in the Chart of Accounts has four options for reports. Use the Account Listing option to run reports on the account code information. No transaction information is available in this report option. The monthly and daily transaction history options include the monthly and daily amounts respectively to run reports on. The Journal History Quick Report option includes fields from the journal to create a report. Even with being able to run reports on this information, the Chart of Accounts' main purpose is to allow you to get a quick view of any trends for certain account codes. For example, view the account history of Room Taxable to see if there were any significant fluctuations that were not expected. Review the month that stands out to determine the particular nights that may have caused the change. The Room Work Orders feature is only available in the Enterprise and Premier editions of Roommaster 2000. It allows you to enter billable work maintenance tasks for an owner's room that can be deducted from the owner's commission statements. If you do not have Enterprise or Premier edition, or do not have owned rooms, skip to the next section of the video. To enter a work order, click on BackOffice Room Work Orders. A room work order should be generated for anything the owner of the room should be paying for to maintain the room. The list can be sorted by room number or by date. It needs to be clarified that this is not a maintenance item. A work order is input after the work has been completed. It is not a request for the work to be completed. Click Insert to enter the work order. Select the room from the drop-down box. The room number and the owner's name will appear. Enter a transaction date, or the date the work was requested, and the completion date. The voucher field should be a short description of the work completed. This will appear on the owner's statement. Enter a general journal account number and the journal account field to tie it to your accounts payable or accounting system. Enter the appropriate dollar amounts and hours the task took. The total amount cannot be changed and is a sum of the materials, labor, and other amount fields. Your initials will appear by default, but other initials can be entered. The comment field is where notes about the task can be entered. It is for internal use only and does not print on the owner's statement. When printing commission statements, make sure to check the box to deduct work orders. The work orders will print under owner charges. On the owner's statement, again, make sure to check Deduct Work Orders. The work orders appear on the second page of the statement. The Special Receipts feature in Roommaster 2000 allows you to create custom receipts for baggage claim tags, breakfast coupons, or show tickets. Special receipts are hard-coded to print from an Epson receipt printer. Any other type of printer will not print the receipt correctly. To create a special receipt, go to Setup, Configuration, Guest Ledger, Special Receipts. Click Insert and the New Form Receipt screen appears. Let's review this screen. Then create a parking pass for the sample property. Description is the label you will see to print the receipt, but it is not printed. The header fields are the title and subtitle of the receipt, respectively. To make them stand out, use the Print in Large Text option. The footer text prints near to the bottom of the special receipt. Nothing will print in that area of the receipt if the fields are left blank. In the first section of Other Options, check the boxes for the items you would like to print. When Prompt for Quantity is checked, you will be asked how many items this receipt applies to. Print New Receipt for each quantity prints a single receipt for each of the quantity requested. For example, a special receipt for breakfast coupons could be printed as one coupon to cover all guests in the room. For this, check the Prompt Quantity box only. When the quantity is selected, let's say there are 4 guests in the room, the coupon will show the quantity the coupon covers, 4 in our case. To print a breakfast coupon for each of the 4 guests in the room, since they might not all eat together, check the Prompt for Quantity box and the Print New Receipt for each quantity. 4 receipts will be printed, 1 for each guest. In the second section, you can choose to print the check-in and/or checkout dates, or have the user prompted to enter a range of dates. You can also have the guest group and/or company name printed. The options in the third section let you print 2 copies, like for a baggage claim ticket, so the guest gets 1 and 1 is on the luggage. Print All Detail and Large Text prints all the options in a larger font. And Serialized Receipt Number will print a ticket number that increases by 1 each time one of the special receipts is printed. Going back to the breakfast coupon example, it would be helpful to have a ticket number on each coupon. They could be logged by the restaurant daily to make sure no duplicates or forged coupons were received. In the final message section, enter any terms or conditions or a message to be included on the special receipt. So let's put together a parking pass for the sample property. Type in Parking Pass. In the Header 1 field, type in Parking Permit. I'll leave Header Text 2 empty, but type Parking Permit again in the footer text, just for aesthetics. In the other options, I'll check the boxes for Print Hotel Name and Address, Current Date Timestamp, and Initials Name of Clerk. Since 2 cars are allowed on property, Prompt for quantity and print new receipt for each quantity are checked, so a pass can be placed in each vehicle. The check-in and check-out dates should both be printed, and the print all in large text is checked. The terms and conditions of the parking permit are entered in the final message area. This is what the final special receipt would look like. The printer selected for credit cards for the specific workstation is used for special receipts by default. Click on the Use bar to select a different printer. Remember, special receipts will only print correctly on an Epson receipt printer. Let's take a moment and review the housekeeping category and setup and configuration. The housekeeping service titles appear on the housekeeping reports and define the kind of service a room may receive. Default normal days are for extended stay or non-full service properties. Leave checked the days of the week housekeeping service is usually given. Remember, you can edit this on a per guest basis on the housekeeping tab of the guest folio. The housekeeping reasons section is where you enter reasons for making a room unavailable. Click on Room Note Reasons, then Insert and a description. The list of reasons appears on the drop-down box for the room note. You can enter reasons for holding a room by clicking on Hold Reasons, Insert, then enter a description. Checking the Enforce Release Security will block other users from using the room until it is released, a maximum time of 20 minutes. It will also only allow a manager, supervisor, or the user who put the room on hold to release the room. Unchecked, a room can be on hold for up to 2 hours, but the hold will not stop another user from using the room. It will only act as an informational prompt. Clicking the housekeeping icon on the icon bar or pressing F10 displays the housekeeping screen. This is the main location for maintaining the status of the rooms, whether they are clean, dirty, or unavailable for sale. The default display shows the rooms in room number order with the type, description, and status. The Change column notes the initials of the last user to change the status of the room. The Out of Order Until column notes the dates unavailable rooms are out of order until. Group notes the custom group the room is assigned to. Custom room groupings will be reviewed in this section. The Inspection column notes the time service or a supervisor inspection was requested. The Room note is the note on the room, usually associated with a room being unavailable. To change the status of a guest room, highlight it and then click on the appropriate button, Vacant Clean or Vacant Dirty. The diamond changes color and text in the status column changes. The user initials will also be updated. The Batch Clean button allows you to change the status of many rooms at once. Click Batch Clean and enter the room number range to be cleaned. Including rooms that are already vacant clean is fine. In the Housekeeping Code section, check the boxes to clear the Made in Room flags and the Inspection Requested flags. Unchecked, the rooms will be turned to vacant and clean, but will still have an inspection request. When the Unavailable button is selected, the Set Unavailable Date window appears. Select the date the room should be available for sale on, and then enter a room note or select one from the drop-down. Check the Create a Maintenance item if a maintenance item needs to be done for the room. When the box is checked, the window expands to show a Create Maintenance option. Enter the information just like you would from the front desk menu, selecting a department and entering a description of the issue in the free-form field. Mark the request urgent and the remote notification if required. The remote notification is set up in Setup, Configuration, Maintenance. Click on Set up Notification Addresses, and the staff members configured appear. To add a staff member, click Insert. Enter the name of the staff member and their email address. If using an email address for a cell phone or a small device, check the Send as SMS message. Contact your local cellular provider for information on configuring your phone to receive SMS messages and for the email address if you do not know it. Select the department for the staff member. This means whenever a maintenance item is entered with a remote notification directed to this department, this staff member will receive an email or phone message. If all departments is selected, this staff member will receive a notification on every maintenance item with a remote notification. Click OK to close. The user information is who is sending the maintenance item and should be the same as the information in Internet settings. Roommaster 2000 will not actually change the status of an unavailable room to vacant dirty on the date it is scheduled to return. Unavailable rooms always have to be manually changed to vacant dirty or vacant clean by highlighting the room and selecting the appropriate status. It is a good practice to review the housekeeping screen daily to see which rooms are scheduled to return and get statuses on them to see if they should be included in the housekeeping reports as rooms to be cleaned. If the room is not ready to return, update the expected date of return by highlighting the room and clicking the Unavailable button. Update the Becomes Available on date and click OK. In Roommaster 2000, inspection can be used two ways. In the first manner, marking a room for inspection by clicking the Inspection button means the room is ready for inspection by the supervisor, or for an occupied room, the guest is requesting service. The time the inspection was requested appears in the inspection column. To clear the inspection time, highlight the room and click on a room status. Clicking on the same status the room currently is will still clear the inspection and update the last user in the CHG column. Some properties and property management systems prefer to inspect each occupied room daily and have statuses of occupied clean and occupied dirty. Roommaster 2000 does not have that status to eliminate unnecessary user actions. However, if you prefer to mark off each occupied room as cleaned on a daily basis, Roommaster 2000 can be configured to mark each occupied room as inspected at the close of the day end process. Go to Setup, Configuration, Guest Ledger, Day End Close options. Check the box to mark occupied rooms as inspection requested. To clear an inspection on an occupied room, highlight the room and double-click, or select the Properties button. Select the Housekeeping tab and click Clear for service inspection requested. The Properties button displays the same information that was reviewed in the Availability section of this video. Quick reports can be run on the housekeeping information. Clicking Housekeeping Reports displays the menu of housekeeping reports available in Roommaster 2000. The housekeeping report by room and by status display the same information, only by room number order or by room status. The prompt window for both reports is the same. Enter the lower room and higher room to be included in the report, checking which statuses to include. It is recommended to only include dirty and occupied when printing reports for the housekeepers. On the Associates report, you can again select the rooms and the statuses of the rooms to print, but you can also choose how many rooms to print on each page. Or, if you have configured minutes per room for stayovers and checkouts, enter the number of minutes per sheet. Roommaster 2000 will assign rooms based on the times needed to clean. On the Associates report, you can also select the language to print the report in. To create the language translations, click on the Setup Options tab, then the Associates Report Language Setup. To add a new language, click on the drop-down box and click on Add New Language. Enter a language description. The left column in the bottom section of the screen represents the Roommaster 2000 field. To enter the new language text in the right column, highlight the field and select Details. Enter the new language translation in the field. For room, type in the new language word for room. For status, type in the word for status, etc. The Do Not Change Sheets option is for properties that do not change sheets every day. With this option selected, if the guest is due to have their sheets changed on the current date, but are due to check out the following day, the report will advise not to change the sheets. The Ignore from Report if service is no service will not include occupied rooms on the report that have requested no service for that day. Unchecked, the room will appear on the report with no service in the Clean Type column. The Notes section will print on each page printed, so if there is a special focus for the week or something the entire staff needs to know, type it here. Entries here are not translated. The Custom Associate Report goes one step further than the Associates Report, allowing you to designate specific rooms to a certain group or person. Click on the Setup Options tab, then Custom Associates Report Setup. The Custom Group and Sequence column display the name of the group the room is assigned to, and its sequence when the report is printed. To assign a room to a group, highlight it and click on Update. Enter the group name and then a sequence. Use the sequence to print the report in the order the rooms are on the property. So if Jill has all the even number rooms between room 302 and room 320, and they are on a hallway that is split in the middle by the elevator, with room 302 through 310 to the right, and rooms 312 through 320 to the left, with the lower numbers starting from the elevator, you might want to order her rooms as shown. This will print the rooms in order as they physically lay out on the floor. The best way to configure your custom group reports is to review a floor map of the property, break the sections, then enter the information in Roommaster 2000. The Quick Update allows you to assign multiple rooms to a group at one time. This works well if the layout of the rooms is the same as the room numbers. Once the custom groups are set up, clicking on the By Custom Group tab will order the rooms by the groups. The By Room Type tab displays the rooms in room type order alphabetically by room type code. The filter allows you to view only specific rooms according to their status. No filter will display all rooms. This is a great way to see just the checkouts for the day or just the unavailable rooms, to see which ones may be returning. The House Summary button displays a view-only screen showing the current status by room type of your property. From here, you can quickly see how many rooms are clean, dirty, unavailable, and occupied. If inspection is requested, or if the maid is in the room, is also displayed, along with how many rooms are left to check out, including how many late checkouts there are, and how many arrivals are left to arrive. The Premier Edition includes the Display as Chart option, allowing you to create charts and graphs on the data in the housekeeping section. Quick Report is only available in the Enterprise and Premier editions. This feature allows you to create custom reports specified to the information available in the section of Roommaster 2000 the Quick Report button is located. In other words, Quick Reports and reservations can only include the fields in reservations and the Quick Reports button in Housekeeping can only use the fields in Housekeeping. I'm going to walk through an example of a quick report reviewing all the features available. Let's say the property is looking for a report that shows the guests that have stayed by state along with the total number of sales and nights. Start by going to Guest Profiles and clicking Quick Report. New will start a new report, where Copy will copy the highlighted report. To change a report, highlight it and click Modify. Highlight and click Rename to change the name only of a report. And click Delete to remove a report from the list. The number of reports is unlimited. Click on New and you will be prompted to enter a name for your report. The username signed in automatically appears as the author. Checking the box will only allow supervisors to make changes to the report once it's completed. Click OK. The next screen to appear is the Define Report column layout. This is where you decide what information you want to include on your report. All fields available to be included in the report appear in the left window. Since this is in Guest Profiles, only fields relating to Guest Profiles are displayed. To include a field on the report, highlight it and click Add, double-click the field, or click and drag the field to the Show Field section. The fields shown will work for the sample report, but that is not the order we want them displayed. Use the arrow keys at the bottom of the Show Field section to order the fields how you want them to appear on the report. Top to bottom equals left to right on the report. In the Premier Edition, you have the Browse Data option, allowing you to see a summary of the field entries. For numerical fields, you can select to get an average of the field or the total. For this example, I want the total of nights total, nights year to date, sales total, and sales year to date. You can apply a specific font to the average or total by clicking on the Font button. Click Next. On the next screen, define the sort order for the report. In other words, how is the information going to be broken down? Using the default sort order will follow the basic sorting guidelines included in Roommaster 2000. You cannot control how the report is sorted in this manner. That is why the Next button is grayed out. For generic reports or basic lists, this is a good option. The second option, Select Predefined Sort Order, is the fastest option and allows you to choose sort orders built into the program. The sort orders vary depending on the section of Roommaster 2000 you are in, just like the fields available. Use the drop-down box to choose a sort order. Using this option, the first break level is defined by Roommaster 2000, but only one break level is allowed. The third option is to define your own custom sort order. With this, you can choose how to sort the data. Click on the radio button, then on Define Sort Order. In the Sort Designer screen, select the first field you want to sort by. For this example, I want to sort by state before anything else. Click on the drop-down for the Sort View by Field and select State after scrolling to it. After State, let's sort by the nights total, then by sales total. Click Next. On the Group Heading and Footing Options screen, the first level break is the state, and then nights total. This allows you to narrow down your information. The group identifier in heading and footing will print the group identifier as either a header or a footer, respective of what is checked. With a large report over multiple pages, the header and footer can be used to separate group data. Check the group total for state. This will print totals for the columns that can be totaled within each state. Check New Page after Group for State. This will create a new page for each state, again, making it easier to separate and review the results. When ready, click OK. What is to be displayed on the report has now been selected. The columns printed are displayed along with the sort order. Notice the plus signs in the front of the last 4 columns. This indicates the columns will be totaled. If the average was requested, an @ symbol appears. Click Run Report to see the report. A prompt window appears asking to add a query. This is used to only display certain information. We'll run the full report first, then add a query. Click No at this time. The print preview appears. Note how each page is a different state. Also, the group totals for each of the columns are displayed. On the final page of the report, the totals of all 4 of the totaled columns appear. From here, you can print or click the drop-down arrow to specify pages to print. No print will close the print preview screen. Click Zoom to increase the size of the display. When the magnifying glass with a plus sign in it appears as the cursor, clicking once will automatically increase the print preview display to fill the screen. Fit does the same thing. Select the number of copies to print of the report. Use the arrow keys to navigate through the pages of the report. A single arrow will move page by page. An arrow with a line will jump to the first or last page of the report. A PDF can be created for most reports. Click on Create PDF. Enter a title for the report. Then enter a save name. This is the actual location the file will be saved. If no path is entered, the report is saved to the Roommaster 2000 directory. To email the report, the Internet settings in Roommaster 2000 must be set. Check the Attach and Email this PDF document, and the rest of the options are now highlighted. Enter or search for an email address, and enter your message. Click OK when ready. Now let's add a query to the report, saying we only want guests that have spent above a certain amount this year. Click Run Report again, and Yes at the query prompt. We will add the query, so click Insert, and then scroll to Sales Year to Date, and click Next. Select Is Greater Than to return only guests spending more than the specified amount. Click Next. Enter the amount and click Next. You can add another variable, like being from a certain state, also by using the AND or functions, and enter another field to be evaluated. For this example, I'll just use the one field. Click Finish and save the query if it is something you will search by in the future. The print preview will appear. On the example, only records with sales year to date greater than the amount are shown. But notice they are still broken down by state per page, and a total page is included. The basics of creating and using quick reports are the same in each section of the program it is available. Just remember, only the data available in that section of Roommaster 2000 will be available to include in any report. With Premier Edition, the embedded interactive SQL report writer allows you to pull data from just about all fields of the program to create customized reports. Review the help text or contact your local Inquest software representative for more information about the Premier Edition. Roommaster 2000 has over 130 different reports, and with the Enterprise and Premier Editions, options to create your own reports. Click on the Reports icon, and the Reports by Category screen appears. This breaks down the available reports by category. All reports involving reservations are listed under Reservations, those with forecasting under Forecasting, and availability, and so on. The reports can also be listed by name by clicking the Name tab. Clicking the Show Description button when the report names are displayed will give a description of the information on the report. It is recommended to leave this on until becoming familiar with the reports. The My Favorites tab displays the reports you define as a favorite. To set a report as a favorite, highlight it in any tab and click the Add to Favorites button. The report will now appear in your My Favorites tab. Or, click on the drop-down arrow next to the Reports icon and a menu of your favorite reports will appear. This allows you to print a report you may need without having to go all the way into the Reports menu. The Today tab will display the reports you have accessed today. So if you ran a report earlier in the day and cannot remember where you found it, go here and you can narrow down your search. The Auto Run tab displays the reports configured to auto run and when they are to run. The last tab displays all the reports included with the Enterprise and Premier editions only. Use the search feature to assist in finding a report with information you are looking for. The feature searches by the report name and description. To find daily reports, type daily in the search field, and all available reports with daily either in the title or the description will appear. If you enter a search parameter while in the Category tab, only the categories with reports that fit the search parameter will be expandable, meaning having the plus sign. Searching in the By Name tab is sometimes easier since all the reports including the search parameter are displayed. With so many reports, it would be impossible to review all of them, but I do want to review a few most properties find useful. In the Reservations category, the Arrivals, Stayovers, and Departures report is great to run first thing in the morning to give an overview of the day ahead. It is suggested to set this to print after the day end close by highlighting it and clicking on Properties. In the Run Report field, click on the drop-down box and select After Day End Close. When the day end close is run, a prompt to print the Arrivals, Stayovers, Departures report will appear automatically. The auditor can then just make it a part of the reports to go to the front desk. The report lists the scheduled arrivals and departures for the day, along with the stayover guests. This can be a multiple-page report depending on the size of the property. Again, it is great to keep at the front desk as a reference or can even be used as a backup in case of a power failure. In the Forecasting and Availability section, the Room Availability Report is great to see the room forecast for as many weeks out as you want. This report is good to use to plan your staffing needs. In the Enterprise and Premier editions, the Forecasted Revenue Report is great to project revenue totals for the future. One of the great features about it is the many different options available for running the report. A quick note on all reports. As you may have noticed, most of the reports in Roommaster 2000 have a prompt window giving you the option of what information you want to see. It is recommended to run different reports in different manners to find the information most helpful to your property. The flexibility of the reports Roommaster 2000 can generate for you is one of its most special features. So for the Forecasted Revenue Report, select a date range in the future. You can go as far out as you want, keeping in mind Roommaster 2000 is pulling the information that has been entered into it. If you only want to see the forecasted revenue for a particular group of rooms, select the room group. If the property is divided between buildings, with each building being a room group, or if there are owners' rooms and non-owners' rooms, this helps break down the information. Select the report type. Daily will break down the information by day, weekly by week, monthly by month. When the daily option is selected, the data can be sorted by date or by revenue. The revenue will display from the highest revenue day in the time frame selected to the lowest. By rate code, then user field, presents the information by rate code, then by the user fields. Select user field 1 or 2 in the user field selection section. If a user field is not selected, Roommaster 2000 defaults to user field 1. In the Revenue Based On section, select when you want to account for the revenue. Selecting Daily Posting means the report will show the revenue posted each day for all the rooms expected to be in-house. Selecting Check-in Date will total all the room revenue expected for the entire guest stay and display it on the date the guest is scheduled to arrive. If you are interested in cash flow and have your guests pay at arrival, this option will give how much money you should expect to receive for the time frame selected. Conversely, if your guests pay at checkout, select the checkout date to see how much money should be received on the checkout dates. These two options are best used with the daily option to really see what days the inflow of money will be. In the Room Revenue section, selecting Base Room Revenue will report only revenue for account codes marked as room revenue. Selecting Packages Roll-Up into Amounts will include the base room revenue plus any items in a package or special package or daily charge marked to roll up. The Packages Roll-Up into Room Amounts plus all daily charges will include all items in a package, special package, or daily charge, regardless if it is marked to roll up. Having these options allows you to forecast revenue based not only on room revenue, but on revenue from package items and daily charges. You can also export this report to Microsoft Excel, allowing you to change the numbers and see what effects they would have. As mentioned before, with all the options available, run the report a few different ways to see which works best for you. The Rooms and Room Assignments section gives you the reports that tell you which rooms have or have not been assigned and how often they have been used. The Front Desk section holds all the reports relating to the front desk. If your property does or would like to do an express checkout, the Mass Print In-House Folios is the report to use. From the prompt screen, you can select the range of rooms, or just leave blank for all, and then select the checkout date. You can even just print the folios for a group. This can be helpful for large groups where a group leader may want to review all their guest folios prior to leaving. Check the appropriate box to include desk folios. Select only folios with a balance, or only print folios for VIP guests. You also have the option to have the day's forecast printed on the folio. Check the box and select the appropriate graphic for the expected weather. Type in a temperature and a short description. The information prints under the last transaction and the description column of the folio. The housekeeping reports are the same as what was reviewed earlier. Review the group's guest history and profile section for information on groups and past guests. The inquiries and prospects reports allow you to search the guest profiles for prospects that were entered and need follow-up. The Day End Close and Reprints category is where you find the Day End reports. The two main reports in this category are the Day End Close Reprint and the General Journal. The first report I'll review is the Day End Close report. This is a summary of the selected audit date and is great to get an overview of what happened that day. The upper left corner displays the date, time, and user that printed the report. The upper right-hand corner gives the date the report is for. The Room Sales Posted section is a summary of the room revenue posted for that audit date. Taxable displays the net amount of revenue posted for all taxable room revenue accounts, usually account code 100. Any voids or adjustments that affected room revenue account codes are included in this number. It also shows the net number of postings. This is not the number of occupied rooms, but the net number of times room taxable was posted for that day. Non-taxable is the same, but for non-taxable room revenue accounts. Adjustments is the total amount posted for account codes that have a category of room revenue, but are not marked as room revenue accounts. Room revenue adjustment debit and credit are examples of postings that would appear on this line. Total posted is the total of all taxable and non-taxable account codes minus the adjustments. On the average post ADR line, average post is in the first column. Average post is the total sales dollar amount divided by the total room sales postings made. The ADR, or average daily rate, is the total sales divided by the number of rooms sold. RevPAR, or revenue per available room, is the total room sales divided by the number of rooms available for sale. The room sold summary section gives the occupancy percentage, the number of check-ins, the number of adults and children in-house, and rooms sold. Rooms sold is the total number of room nights sold for the date, including regular stays, no-shows, and same-day stays, a guest who checks in and out on the same audit date. Review the rooms sold detail by date report for a breakdown of the rooms sold. The in-house at time of audit section shows the number of unavailable rooms, occupied rooms, and vacant rooms at the time the audit was run. The posting summary section gives a count on the number of rooms posted that were rooms associated with a group, the number of rooms where posting was skipped, and the number of rooms posted with a $0 amount. A room revenue posting may be skipped if the room is comp or has a 0 rate and the include 0 room rate in ADR option is unchecked for the room revenue account codes. Checking this option will post $0 for comp rooms and rooms where the rate is set to 0. This also includes the posting in room sales, reducing the average daily rate. The Rate Types Rooms Sold section gives the total number of rooms with a comp rate, a rack rate, and all the other rates, including overridden rates. A room will only appear in the comp total if the comp rate code is used. If the rate is overridden and set to 0, it will be part of the other room's total. Use the posting summary and rate types in-house to verify comp rooms in-house and that they are being posted correctly. The ledger summary breaks down the guest, city, and advance deposit ledgers. The first line shows the ledger total from the previous business day. The debits line displays all the new debits added to the ledger, and the credits line all the new credits. These lines add up the totals of debits for the day and totals of credits. The today line gives the ledger balance for the audit date printed. Do not use the ledger balances from this location to enter into your external accounting package, since these are total numbers. To get the net changes that will include the voids done for the day, use the general journal, which is reviewed next. The bottom portion of the report lists all the account codes posted for that audit date and the net amount of debit or credit, taking into account any voids completed. The general journal is the report that should be used to enter information from Room Master 2000 into your accounting package. It takes all the transactions for the day and organizes them by the ledger they were posted in. Then, translates those transactions into standard accounting formats, where payments are debits and charges are credits, by the external account codes configured. It also displays the net amount of change for the day for each of the ledgers and the external account codes. The first 3 sections displayed are the deposit ledger, then the guest ledger, and the city ledger. The names of the ledgers can be changed under Setup, Configuration, Guest Ledger, Account Codes, Special Account Assignments, Ledger Names, but will always be displayed in the same order. The Deposit Ledger section displays the sum of postings in the Reservation section of Room Master 2000. The listings are in Room Master 2000 account code order after the transfers. but only display the account code name. This is the same for all sections of the General Journal, including the external accounts. In the last column, the external account the account code is linked to is displayed. Transfers are not linked to external account codes. Most postings will be payment accounts and guest ledger transfers. The transfers move the advance deposit from the reservation to the folio, or from the deposit ledger to the guest ledger. The net amount is the net change in that ledger for the day. Further down in the report, the net amount shows the net amount of change for the external account. Note the amount of guest ledger transfer and deposit transfer are the same, only debit and credit. The guest ledger lists a summary of the postings in the guest ledger for the day. Again, the external account is in the last column. Note the city ledger transfer credit is the same as the guest ledger transfer displayed in the city ledger section. This number is the amount of direct bill accounts that transferred from the guest ledger to direct bill accounts in the city ledger. Payments to the city ledger appear here as credits. The next sections are your external accounts. These are attached to each Roommaster 2000 account code in the Accounting Package section of the General tab when setting up the account codes. This is where the amounts from the different ledgers are distributed to the proper external account codes and translated into standard accounting. In these sections, the note shows the ledger the posting was made in. The final balance of this report must always be 0. The accounting category contains all the accounting reports in Roommaster 2000. For Enterprise and Premier Edition users, the Manager's Daily Report is great for seeing how the property did for the day and compare it to what the property did last year. Select the report date and then a starting month for the fiscal period. If your fiscal calendar runs the same as a regular calendar, use January as the starting month. Also, select how to compare last year to this year, either as a % of change or a dollar value. This is a one-page report that contains a lot of information. The first 3 columns are numbers from today, then month to date, then year to date. That is why it is important to select the correct fiscal month to start with. The 4th column is for last year month to date, then last year to date. If you have had Roommaster 2000 for less than a year, zeros will display. The rows review the room revenue and occupancy statistics, room nights, and guest breakdown. The same as the day and close report, the total number of comp, rack, and other rate code rooms are given, and then the ending and average balances for the guest ledger, city ledger, and advanced deposit ledger. The income, cost of goods, and expenses rows give you the net income for the property. This breakdown is derived by adding all the account codes designated as income or expenses as defined in the accounting package section of each account code. The Sales Center section breaks down the same information by sales center, showing you where your revenue for the day is coming from. A brief forecast for the next day and the upcoming week is included at the bottom of the page. This report is only available in the Enterprise and Premier editions of Roommaster 2000. For more information on these editions, contact your local Inquest software representative. In the Marketing and Analysis category, the user fields report are very helpful for tracking where your guests are coming from. Although it takes some time to get the history established, configuring and using the user fields on the guest reservations when you start using Roommaster 2000 will pay off in the future with information on who your guests are and where they're coming from. For Enterprise and Premier editions, reports from external report writers can be added in the Custom Reports category. Once the report is loaded, it can be moved to a different category by highlighting it, then right-clicking and selecting Properties. I'll use the Account List report as an example. I'll select the Change Category option and a menu of the categories available appears. I'll select Accounting to move this report to, since the report was created for the accounting department. Being able to change the categories makes it easy to have all reports for specific departments in one location. The Enterprise and Premier editions also include a graphing option for 8 reports. This takes the basic information from the report and displays it in a chart or graph. For example, the Manager's Daily Analysis uses the data from the Manager's Daily Report. Once the chart is opened, there are options to change the design of the chart and also what type of chart best displays the information. Select which data to display using the drop-down box at the bottom of the screen. Once selected, the Edit Chart option can be used to make any adjustments or add a new series of data. See the online help for more information. During and at the end of the day-end close, Roommaster 2000 prints reports reviewing the day's figures. The program defaults with basic reports, but allows you to add or remove reports to customize the audit pack for your property. The first location to add or remove reports is under Setup and Configuration, Guest Ledger, Day-End Close options. All but the last option in the left column of the General tab are reports that can be run with the day-end close. Check the reports you would like to print and leave unchecked the ones you do not. Roommaster 2000 defaults to print the reports currently selected. The other way to have reports print with the day-end close is through the Reports menu. Let's say you want the unassigned rooms report to print daily with the day end, so the first shift on the front desk can assign rooms if needed. Navigate to the Unassigned Rooms report and click Properties. Here, you can change the name of the report or change the description, what is displayed when the Show Description box is checked. The Run Report field gives you the option to print the report at designated times. Click on the drop-down box and the options appear. Before day-end close means the report will print with the information from before the day-end close is completed. For properties with the credit card interface, it is recommended to set the electronic processing report to this setting since it cannot be reproduced after the day-end close is completed. The next option, after day-end close, is what I'll select for the Unassigned Rooms report, because we want the unassigned rooms for the upcoming day. There cannot be any unassigned rooms before the day-end close, or it will not run. Month end means the report will only run at the end of the month. The General Journal is a report that is often set to run at the end of the month. The end of shift means the report will run when the shift is changed in Roommaster 2000. And if you want certain reports to run on a certain day, select the day. With all these reports, if the report has a prompt to be completed before the report will run, that will appear to the user running the day-end close, and they will need to verify the parameters of the report and click OK for the report to print. To continue the example, see how After Day End appears on the Report menu now, showing this report is set to run automatically after the day-end close is complete. When the day-end close is run, the prompt screen for the Unassigned Rooms report will appear with the new audit date as the default. Click OK to print just today's unassigned rooms, or train the auditor to print the information you want by changing the dates or other parameters. This concludes the Manager and Back Office section. This concludes the Manager and Back Office section.